What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a very brand new episode of Real Talk Live. We are live now from a new channel, and I'm your host, Krypton Cage, and I'm joined here today by my co host, the Viking.
What's going on? Brand new home for the channel. Um, so looking forward to it. Our very first show on our own. So we're big boys now, KC. We have to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, man. I have the new layout and all, everything. I was just working on, setting up the stream. And at the
Yeah.
very end, I just forgot to adjust the cameras. So that's the reason why it took so long. So yeah, we'll
But we're
just
we're, lear- we're learning and stuff. But how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, just happy to talk about some of these movies and some of these TV shows because it's been a good week, kind of with Army of the Dead coming out.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of talk about that, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, can't wait. That's a while yet, but we've other stuff to talk about first.
Yes. So the first topic of today will be MODOK. It's a Marvel show that's on Hulu, and I haven't seen it since we don't have Hulu, and I don't have any interest in that. So
Yeah,
go ahead and tell us what you think.
yeah. So MODOK is a new kind of Marvel show that's on Hulu. So because it's kind of R-rated and there's some kind of grown-up jokes in it and stuff like that. So yeah. So in the UK, there's Hulu isn't available. There's a thing called Disney Star. So that's what this show is on. So the more mature movies and shows are on Disney Star here, while in America it's Hulu because they're owned by Disney, aren't they? But the way it works is this show is about this supervillain, MODOK, and it kind of follows him in his daily life, living with his family, and he's also over this kind of evil organization where it's kind of this place where he creates his weapons and master plans and stuff, and his henchmen all work and live there, and he has robots as well that are kind of his slaves. So yeah, that's what the show is really about, and it is a little bit edgy and stuff. There's some jokes in it that are very mature, but like it doesn't really push it like that far. It's not like Deadpool. It's just more of a it'll make fun a little bit more of things. But some characters pop up like Iron Man and John Hamm is voicing Iron Man in it. Of course, he was in Invincible as well, and so he does a pretty good job. He's only like two or three episodes, but MODOK himself is voiced by Paddy Oswald, and also in this is Ben Schwartz. He plays the son, but basically it's just in the day of it's a day in the life of this supervillain, and it's fun to watch. The episodes are only like 25 minutes long, and there's not much to digest. It's not really that heavy. It's kind of like, did you ever see BoJack Horseman, Casey?
No, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's not as deep. You don't feel for the character as much, and they don't really push the emotional substances that much either. Like they could do a lot more with this show, but it's a fine watch. It's only 25 minutes, 10 episodes, but it's something to sink your teeth into. Patton Oswalt, of course, that plays the character MODOK. His voice is very noticeable. He's been in loads of things. He voiced the animated character Happy in the sci-fi show Happy, which was pretty good as well. So yeah, it's okay, but it could be a lot better. They could have maybe more heroes show up and stuff like that. Only Iron Man's only the only one that has showed up, and they create some brand new characters for this show. But yeah, it's an okay show. It's not Invincible. It's not Harley Quinn or anything like that. It's an okay show. You could probably do with missing it if you wanted to. But I suppose the most positive thing to take away from it is it's interesting to see a supervillain so vulnerable, living with his family and dealing with family issues while also trying to be a supervillain as well at the same time. But also kind of has this chip on his shoulder because he feels like he has to prove something, and he kind of people look down on him as well, and he isn't as powerful as he used to be. So it's interesting to see a vulnerable villain deal with family issues. So like that's something new as well that we haven't really seen before. But if you if you wanted to, you can miss it. If you just want something to watch, maybe background sound, it's an easy one to have on. There's some really good jokes there, but it's more dry humor. It's more of kind of the dark humor, that kind of stuff. It's not laugh out loud all the time, but if you like kind of subtle humor, dry humor, I think you'll have fun with this show. But yeah, MODOK is on Hulu right now. 10 episodes, 25 minutes each, and it's not too bad. It's okay.
Nice. I saw some of the pictures that are, available online, and, the ones you can see here right now. Some of these seem
Yeah,
like stop motion plus VFX. And
yeah.
did the stop motion bother you at all?
No, it's not that bad. It's actually the animation style is actually easy to look at. It's kind of it's hard to get used to MODOK because he's such a big head and he floats around. It's kind of weird to look at for a while.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty cool. Like we got Nathan Fillion doing a voice in the show as well. He's going to be in the Suicide Squad with James Gunn. John Hamm, as I said, he's a character. He plays Iron Man. Ben Schwartz, who did the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog, he's in this too. Whoopi Goldberg is in it. So the voice cast is pretty good. But for me, it don't really push the edge that much in terms of it is kind of R-rated. So I would think maybe go that extra mile with it. Some parts are actually very bloody and gory. But then you go into the next episode and there's none of that stuff whatsoever. So, but like as I said, he's dealing with family issues, but there's also a super villain, a bigger villain than him, trying to outstage him, which was actually a cool spin on it. Got to do with time travel as well. So yeah, it could be one just to get your feet sink into and have a look at it. But Pat Oswalt as MODOK is pretty good, and he's probably the best thing to watch in the show. The other side characters are just okay, but yeah, check it out. And yeah, the animation style is pretty good as well. And Zach Green is actually one of the producers on this. Seth Green doesn't appear in many movies or shows that much anymore, but he's one of the main producers for the show, and it does kind of have his humor as well. And Patton Oswalt wrote a lot of these episodes too. So yeah, it's if you like those guys, you're probably going to like this. Bill Hader actually does a voice too, but yeah,
Nice. It kind of looks very good, but I'm not sure about the stop motion thing, and uh, but there's still CGI in that, with the lens flares and all that stuff. So I guess it's cool.
yeah,
Maybe after the whole
yeah,
season is done, I'll watch it. This is not
yeah.
something
It's an easy
connected to
watch.
anything, right?
No, it's his own standalone thing. But in one of the pictures you had up there is kind of them guys in yellow suits.
Mm-hmm.
They're very funny. They're silly and they're kind of stupid, and their dry humor is the best. Like their little one-liners off camera or at the end of the scene, kind of make a scene as well. So yeah, those guys are pretty funny. And MODOK's daughter looks just like him, while his son looks like a normal human being, which is kind of weird. And it never explains how MODOK falls in love with this woman, his wife, because his wife is actually a pretty good person. So I would have liked them to show maybe a flashback how they fell in love because pretty she's a pretty good person, but he's a supervillain. So I would like to see how that worked out. But it actually ended on a cliffhanger.
Oh,
So kind of
it's
a well, not a
over?
cliffhanger, but like yeah, it's 10 episodes dropped
Oh,
on
okay.
Disney Plus on Hulu, but on Star and the UK one they're dropping weekly.
Okay.
So whatever reason, I don't know why they're doing that, but it kind of dropped in kind of a half cliffhanger, half. Oh my god, I want to see what happens next. So yeah, season two will probably happen because Hulu have been pushing this show. They want their own kind of Marvel show for Hulu because the other Disney Plus shows are like family friendly for the most part. This one is kind of for you like edgy stuff. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Nice.
Yeah, and John the Hermit as well. His comment there, he goes, "I never seen the show, but it has a cool robot chicken vibe to it with the stop motion." Yes, the robot chicken crew are involved with this, so that's why the stop motion animation style is like the robot chicken production because those people actually work on this. So, but they're not credited big time. They're at the end of every episode, but if you go looking for it, it doesn't say this is a robot chicken production. But they are involved with this, and yeah, the animated style is very much the same.
Nice. I'll check it out then after, a while, because right now, obviously, there's so much to watch, and of course, we just watched Army of the Dead, and I'm going to watch it again because of the stuff people are talking about and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just welcome our viewers here.
Yes.
Really fun, really.
What? What did I do?
No. Okay, Sienna says hi. Craiglin says looking good, guys. Well, that's all we needed. Just this was all for Craig's, attention. We got his attention and he approved. So that's it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Jessica is
No,
here.
loads of people here. Becca as well.
Becca is here. Grayson is here. Unfortunately, Grayson will just agree to everything I say today because there's no Spider-Man topics or Star Wars topics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's always fun going back and forth between Grayson and I because it's just he always is the opposite of what I like. It's just
Yeah.
fun.
Bristol's good fun. Yeah.
So anyway, with that topic out of the way, we can jump on to the next topic here, which is Superman and Lois. Again, something that I didn't see, and I have literally
Your
no
favorite
interest.
show.
Yeah, I've literally no
Your
interest
favorite
in
show.
watching this ever. But go ahead. Yeah, episode 6 is back, and you guys seem to like it, so just talk about it.
Yeah, it took a 2 month break after episode 5, which I was pretty annoyed over. It decided because Supergirl was coming back for its final season, so they were like, "Oh, Superman and Lois is doing pretty well, so let's try and get some of that fan base over to watch Supergirl for its last season." I don't think it worked because I don't see anybody talking about Supergirl. But yeah, this one came out, Superman and Lois episode 6, and another solid episode. This season has been absolutely brilliant, Casey. I think you should definitely give it a watch, or at least a binge watch when the season ends, because I think you will enjoy it, and it takes inspiration from Man of Steel, Smallville, the older Superman movies as well. So like I think there's something there for everybody, and it's not just about Tyler Hoechlin being Superman; it's about him being a father. These two sons as well. One of them has powers, one of them doesn't. Being a husband as well, stuff like that, and you feel for the character big time. But in this episode, we have a character, Tag, who is in high school. And a few episodes ago, he kind of started getting these powers where he's able to vibrate really fast or run really fast and stuff. He couldn't really control it, but he was sent off to what we were told as viewers is a school for kind of the gifted. So, like a Charles Xavier school for the gifted. So he went away there and we thought everything was okay. But in this episode, he returns to attack Superman's kid, who also has powers because in episode 1, one of the kids let off a blast, like a X-ray beam at a party, and somehow this Tag character got the powers in that moment. So he blames Jordan, Superman's son, for it. He wants some answers because it's all on video. He can see it comes from Jordan, and he attacks him. And then Superman comes and saves him, and Tag runs off, and he runs across these train tracks, and the train tracks kind of break up. The metal kind of goes off track and the train's about to crash. Superman comes in and catches the train just before it's about to crash, and uses his red beam, his laser beam, to melt the metal back down into place so that he can place the train on the tracks and it goes off safely. That was a pretty cool scene. That's just the opening sequence. In this episode, we have kind of Lois Lane, who's investigating this big corporate businessman who has come to Smallville to set up a business, and he's providing jobs. So the whole community loves him, but his past ventures in business are very shady. He goes to communities, he takes the soul out of communities in terms of he gives people work, but then he leaves when they need him the most, and he goes with all the money, and they have nothing left. So she's investigating him, but also she's being helped by a guy who is Captain Luthor from a different alternate timeline. And in his timeline, evil Superman existed and wiped out humanity. And he comes to our Earth to stop the Superman we know, Tyler Hawkins' Superman. But in that other alternate timeline, he was married to Lois Lane. So it's kind of a cool kind of storyline that's going on there. He comes to our Earth because he plans on fighting Superman, but he gives Lois a fake name. He tells her that he's a reporter as well, and he's investigating this big businessman. So them two are working together with that. Then you have the two sons, Jonathan and Jordan, who are getting ready for a big football game against Metropolis, their old school. And then Superman himself is dealing with trying to be a parent and Superman. So that's basically what the episode is about. And Tag Harris, the character I was talking about, has the kind of vibration powers. He is looking for answers, so he's kind of causing a bit of destruction, but he doesn't mean to because he can't control his powers. That's basically what this episode is about. And Tyler Hoechlin, I think, is a great Superman. Many people think that he's not good enough. He's not as good as Henry Cavill, but he doesn't have to be. He's doing his own thing. And I like him. I think with the right material, he could have been something great. I think this is the right material. This episode was awesome. Like each episode, VFX and CGI isn't being used as much. Maybe it's a budget reason, but I don't mind it too much because the characters are interesting. I like just being with these characters and seeing them go through these kind of struggles and stuff like that. So even though episode 1 and 2 of this season had more fights, had more effects and things like that, it was cool to watch. And now it's limited, probably because of the budget. But I don't mind because the story is interesting, it's engaging, and to see Superman trying to be Superman and also be a parent, but one son has powers, the other doesn't, and trying to deal with that is pretty cool. And Lois Lane isn't just an anchor, isn't just a love interest, isn't just a wife. She has her own storyline going on as well. So, like, the only way in some shows, there's a certain storyline that you think is boring, that you don't like, and you want to get back to the main character, the main antagonist. In this, I actually don't mind the scenes that don't have Superman. I like the scenes with Lois Lane, with Captain Luthor, with Morgan Edge, the big corporate businessman, the two sons. So I don't mind it. I think it's well written, and hopefully this keeps on for the rest of the season. And I think there's 16 episodes this season. We're on episode 6 now. So
16?
look, I'm loving it.
Wow.
I think so. So yeah, I'm loving it. And the suit looks cool. And there's also this kind of big mystery as well, because Captain Luthor came to our Earth, and in his Earth, Superman goes evil, and he's wearing the black suit, and he destroys humanity, he kills it kills the people of Earth. So I like to see this Captain Luthor, to see what his plan really is. So I think it's a nice spin to things, and it's a really good show. You should give it a shot. I think everyone should give this a shot because it's not the Flash terrible visual effects that we see now lately, or Arrow kind of declined in quality. At the moment, this is top tier stuff, and it's the most viewed show on CW. So hopefully, it stays that way.
Yeah, that's the thing that's preventing me. Hopefully it stays that way. Because because all the other shows, they were awesome in the beginning, and then even Supergirl, I liked the first season, and the I think I liked the second season as well. But then even Legends of Tomorrow, everything that they were all great in the beginning, and then they kept turning out fillers and all that stupid shit, the
Yeah,
CW shit, and it's just so hard for me to get interested in this.
yeah, and like even I think it's Lana, Lana, the other kind of love interest that Superman had as well when he was younger, when he went to school and stuff. She's in it as well, and she has interesting storylines with her husband, and her daughter Sarah is kind of a love interest for one of Superman's kids, Jordan. So, like every single character in this show has something interesting about them. They have depth, they have character development, and it doesn't need the big action. It really doesn't. And it was cool to see it in episode 1 and episode 2 with Captain Luthor versus Superman and stuff like that. But me, it doesn't anchor itself on action. It anchors itself on the story, on how well written it is, and the mystery that's added to it as well. There's also a bit of friction as well because Lois Lane's father is a big military general officer. He works with Superman. Like, it's funny because he likes Superman, but he doesn't like Clark Kent, the man who's married to his wife. He knows the identity, but he doesn't like him. So I think that's pretty cool. He you can see him. Superman, we need your help. Superman comes and he saves the day. And then if he meets him like at family dinner or something like that, he's kind of giving him a tough time. He respects him as Superman, but he doesn't respect him as a person, which I think is very interesting. But he doesn't trust Superman either. There's kind of another side storyline there that was hinted at as well, that he might maybe turn on Superman because Captain Luthor was able to tell him, in my world, careful. So I think there's a lot of Bruce Wayne like Batman plans in place. If this Superman goes rogue, they have some ideas. And also another thing that I like about the show is that it's not the villain of the week. In Smallville, it used to be this week we've got this villain here who can freeze things. And in this episode here, we've got a girl who eats people or something like that. Remember that there was an episode with Amy
CW
Adams.
tropes.
Yeah, stuff like that. Or even in the Flash and Arrow, villain of the week.
Yeah.
Bill the Butcher, stuff like that. So in this show, there isn't that. There's maybe one villain in this episode, but the next episode is a family kind of situation or something with the government or something like that. I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
Nice. Where did that go? Okay, yeah. John the Hermit says, "Do you think the evil Superman take will make people reconsider their hate for BVS?" No. Because look, people hate BVS not just because they don't get it. there are several reasons, and different people hate it for different reasons. And the old it doesn't make sense, and why is Superman evil, and all those stuff were present during 2016, 2017, and all that. But right now, the hate I'm seeing is mainly due to them calling the plot out. They're just saying that the plot is not good enough. That's just basically what they're saying. So it has nothing to do with evil Superman or stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
the comic people who say that Superman shouldn't look angry and he should smile and all that, all that is there already in BVS, and then in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. So I don't think those complaints are valid anymore. So people are just changing the goalpost. They'll just still hate the no, they'll still hate the movie because you know how it is. Once they start hating it when it came out, they just forever want to hate it because they don't want to feel wrong. You know, so
yeah.
that
I think
that
we've
plays a part.
like over the past decade, we've had loads of games or shows or movies that have shown Superman as evil. Like in Batman v Superman, there was the evil Superman nightmare sequence. We had a similar one in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but don't forget Infinite, the crossover of Infinite Earths. Brandon Routh came in as a Kingdom Come Superman who was kind of evil as well. We've had it with Tyler Hoechlin at times. We've had it now in this episode as well. There's one scene in particular where Superman is trying to stop the character Tag, who has the vibration powers, because he kidnapped a person in the episode, and he's trying to talk him over. He's like, "I'll help you. Just trust me." And then the Tag character's like, "Last time I trusted you, I ended up in this place, and they were kind of experimenting on me, and they were giving me a tough time and stuff. So how can I trust you?" And Superman goes, "Look, I'll make sure this time." But the army come in, and they have orders to shoot on sight, and they have Kryptonian kind of bullets or something like that. And Superman flies in to save Tag, so he doesn't get hit by it, and he gets hit by kryptonite, and he falls to the ground, and then he goes angry, and his eyes go red and stuff like that. It was a pretty badass scene. It was pretty cool. But like what I'm saying is, even in the games, we've had the evil Superman angle as well. I don't think that's a problem for people. I think it's more they don't like the overall kind of story of Superman. And
Yeah.
like if Superman in Batman v Superman was the Christopher Reeve Superman, but only for that one moment in the nightmare sequence he was evil, I think people would, the general consensus would be, oh, it's still Superman. But that's, I don't think that's the problem with Batman v Superman or
Yeah.
Snyder's vision. I just think it's they don't think he's hopeful enough, even though deep
And
down he really is.
a lot of people just want a Marvel like universe. It's just simple as that. They think BVS was overstuffed based on the Marvel standard, because the second movie having so much in it, they feel like that is overstuffed. But that was not supposed to be how it
Yeah,
goes. You know, it was just a 5 movie arc and it was going to be over. So I think they just wanted the 20 movie, 25 movie universe, and they just wanted every character to have solo movies and the movies to be simpler, not that much complex, and building up to Darkseid in later movies, not now, and all that. There's plenty of reasons. It's just
yeah. I
weird.
want to. Yeah, it's and there's kind of an agenda against Snyder. Even today, I seen stuff because some of his song choices
If
in Army of the
BVS was
Dead.
made by someone else,
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. Yeah,
yeah.
it's. I just think there's an agenda against the man. We all like him, and we all know like what he's trying to do and stuff. Just the way they have. I think if Christopher Nolan was the director of Man of Steel, it might be taken a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And that's not just me being a Snyder fanboy. I think that's just a plain
Yeah,
reality of it.
it's just, yeah, we're not speaking like from a Snyder fanboy angle. It's just how it is. Like, people just don't like the guy. What can we do? There's literally no
Yeah,
reason
yeah,
for
exactly.
that. They just
Yeah,
don't like him.
yeah, 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 exactly. But what I like about in this series is that it's its own thing. It's not related to the CW world yet. It doesn't have references towards Flash or Supergirl. Now, maybe they will at some stage. I hope they don't. I hope they keep it as its own universe. And I hope the only hero is Superman, because I think it's a lot more cooler. And that's something that's very rare nowadays, because it's very rare that you have a world that just has one superhero. Why can't it just be Superman and maybe his son at some stage, Superboy? But it doesn't tie in. There's actually a scene deleted. The showrunner really revealed that the actress that plays Supergirl is Melissa Bonet or something like that. Or I forget her name.
Melissa Benoist.
She was. That's probably it. Yeah, she was supposed to kind of cameo in Superman and Lois in terms of a picture. So there's going to be a picture of Lois Lane and Superman and Supergirl. Now I don't know if she was supposed to be Supergirl in the actual picture or it was just a relative cousin who doesn't have powers. I don't know, but that was cut out. They said it was over runtime issues. I'm guessing that picture didn't take up too much runtime, so maybe they thought to themselves it's best just to leave this show be its own self-contained thing.
Yeah, I actually liked Melissa's portrayal of the character. The writing and the show, just the choices, all that shit I didn't like, but she was great as Supergirl. So I mean, it wouldn't be bad if she cameos in the Superman and Lois show. But again, they'll do the same thing. Like they'll just prop up Supergirl, and by doing that, they'll just bring Superman down. So that's the reason they need to be separate.
Yeah, I just hope it stays to be its own thing because there's such an interesting dilemma with his sons. Because as I said, one of them has Superman powers, the other one doesn't. Now, I do think eventually that the other character, Jonathan, will end up getting powers. Now, I think there's such an interesting story to tell there. Like that, I think in time that other son will be jealous of his brother because he has Superman powers. I think that could be a thing. You maybe because in this world, Captain Luthor, Lex Luthor is kind of different. He's a black character who comes from a different Earth. Imagine if his son ended up being kind of a Lex Luthor. Like, I think there's interesting stories that you could end up telling in this world right now because of his two sons and the way he is. He's getting a little bit older as well, and I just think there's a lot of ways to go with this show. And it's already green lit for season 2. It's the most viewed CW show. It's the most viewed CW show on the app, the CW app as well. So it's in terms of the superhero shows. So it's doing pretty well for itself.
Awesome. And here we have Scott McClellan, who is going to be, hopefully, hopefully he makes it in time, going to be a guest on our show on the later half when we are discussing the
Awesome.
merger and Army of the Dead and all that. So
Yeah.
we are the jokers that you said yes to, Scott.
So who's the real Joker? If you said yes to the Joker.
Exactly. I think Diggle is showing up as Green Lantern.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Are they doing
But
something with that,
that's all.
or was that just a tease?
I don't know. Is that the character from Arrow?
Yeah, John Diggle, the guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember the scene. He was kind of He was. I don't know if it's going to happen in Superman and Lois. That'd be cool to do it because it was kind of something that was teased but never really it was never fully brought through. So yeah, why not bring him in? That'd be cool. Maybe do something. I know people would probably lose their mind if they
Yes.
did a similar thing to what Zack Snyder had to do because that's what it seems like everyone's doing is taking Snyder's ideas. But to bring him in like that would be cool, and you could also reinvent the character. This is a new world, and maybe he acts a little bit differently, more of a serious one. He was always kind of serious, but I think, yeah, you could definitely do that. That'd be cool. I wouldn't mind that too much as long as they don't say, "Oh, this guy's Green Lantern, but over here we've got 60 more heroes that are ready to come into this." Keep it small enough.
Yeah, that would be cool to see. And make sure to tell me when that happens because I don't want to watch the whole show. Just send me the scene and I'll watch it.
I Yeah, I bet you now there's going to be a scene that you'll see coming up later on this season, and you'll be like, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm going to watch it now."
Nah,
I bet you there's going to be a scene that stands out to you.
nah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully, but right now I literally have like zero interest, not even 1%. So it's just
I look forward to each episode every week. It's like a comfort. I don't know. It's really like comforting to watch these characters just live and just see them interact with each other. I don't know. It's a real comfort to me. I look forward to each episode, and I was annoyed it took a 2.5 month break. I was like, what am I going to do every Tuesday now? So
now
glad
imagine
I'm glad it's back.
now imagine if that show they turned the show into garbage later on. You love it so much now. How would you feel then?
Yeah,
That
I just don't see
that
them.
feeling is
Maybe
not what I
maybe
want.
season
That's why I'm not watching it.
maybe season 2, but I don't see this season being a train wreck. I just right now it's too good of a setup right now.
Yes. Yes, Ascended. You can call me that.
Uh,
I'm a CWDC hater. Yes. David Ramsey said in an interview that he rejected the ring and his arc will be the consequences of that decision. Oh, did he?
Interesting.
Why would he do that? That's probably the most interesting thing that happened to him, right?
That's it's kind of like Sam Wilson rejecting the Shield kind of thing. He wants to find himself first, maybe before he can
Yeah, that's
be
true.
here. Be here. I don't know. Could be something like that. There's an interesting arc you could do there. Definitely,
Yeah, that's true.
he earns the ring. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the greatest show on television right now.
Sure, sure.
Uh,
We'll talk about that later
yeah,
when it falls.
yeah.
Well,
But what's next?
yeah, we'll jump on to the next topic here, which is Love, Death, and Robots, which you finally watched in like one day.
I bi- I binged it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what did you
binged it.
think of, firstly, what did you think of season one?
You should tell people what happened. Yeah, when I was watching it when I pressed play.
Dude, the I tell this guy to watch season one, catch up to season two, and what he
I'm
does,
like, this is pretty good.
yeah, what he does, he watches season one, the first two episodes, and then I don't know what happened automatically or something. He just watches this episode three of season two, which is basically the best looking episode of the entire show. And now everything he watched is just below that.
Yeah, it was.
It's
It was pretty much a letdown after that. I was like, this Love, Death, and Robots thing is pretty cool, and I watched the best episodes. But yeah, look, I don't really like these what are they called anthology seasons where it's different story, different characters each episode. Like I've watched Twilight, the kind of reboot of Twilight with Twilight. Um, different kind of characters, different stories, mysteries, and stuff like that. I've watched the kind of American Horror Stories, kind of similar like that. Each season, different stories, even though some of the same characters or same actors pop up. But the animated style in this just changes each episode,
yeah,
and some of the stories I'm interested in, some of the stories I don't care for. Some of the stories I wish, wow, I'd watch an entire series about just this episode,
yeah,
about these characters. And I just think it's actually interesting because for somebody who kind of thinks of weird things in my head when I'm daydreaming, this is a great show for me because in these episodes, you don't have to come up with a start or an ending. You just have to tell a weird, interesting
exactly,
15-minute, 10-minute story.
exactly.
And actually, it would I would actually love to work on something like this because I think my mind would be crazy enough to come up with some weird shit that
Yeah,
doesn't have to make sense. But then people are thinking after, oh, what did that mean? Because that's what I was doing. I was like, it made me kind of reflect on maybe our worlds and like there's certain parts of some of the episodes where some of these characters go through something that's pretty massive and they risk their lives and you think, oh my god, they made it through that terrible occurrence. And then the camera pans out and it shows the planet and then
yeah,
it zooms out even more and it shows 30 more planets.
yeah.
And then it pans out even more, it just shows space. And you're like, oh, does anything matter? It makes you really think. But yeah, I watched season one, but I have to
Some
say,
of the
season
episodes
two
are
is
just
so
wild. Like they just wanted to have some fun,
crazy.
and some animator just wanted to make something crazy, and then just they said, "Go ahead and do it." And some of them are so
Yeah.
deep, and the animation is great and emotional and all that. And the on the other end is just basic, weird, random shit. So I
It's
love all of that.
it's pretty awesome because, like as I said, right in season one there's 18 episodes, and in season two I was like, oh, there's only eight in this one. But I think the
Yeah,
quality has increased in season two because some of the episodes in season one I was like, oh, that's fine. I didn't really attach myself to those characters as much.
yeah,
But then in season two, I did, and I really loved the Michael B. Jordan episode. I couldn't tell if it was CGI or
right?
if it was visual effects. It was actually just him at times. Like there's a part in that episode, he's in this kind of room, and this robot detects any movement, and the robot's kind of defected or something like that, or maybe that's the way it was always programmed. But whatever it moves, it wants to kill. Michael B. Jordan gets attacked, and he has to lay on the ground.
Yeah,
And there's a nice sequence where he's laying on the ground, he's coming up with a plan how to try and beat this robot. And I couldn't tell if it was him CGI or what they were trying to do. I just thought it was actually really well
yeah.
done. And it was cool. There was also another episode.
In that
Now,
episode,
of
some
course,
scenes looked like it was his face was CG, but some looked like it was real. So I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if they are trying to add that animation type thing on his face to make it blend
yeah,
seamlessly or something like that. Because even in the first season, there was a episode with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and even after watching all the animated stuff, I just randomly turned that on, right? I don't know what, I'm just watching it in sequence, right? So that
yeah,
turned up and I was
yeah,
just guessing, is this CGI or is this real? And then the hair
yeah,
and the eyes and mouth, all that gives it
yeah.
away. So they're just so
And
close to perfection, but they still cannot just, be 100% fake real, because you can always tell
yeah,
by the eyes and the mouth and the teeth, lips. I think that's really, really hard. And it's not just the movement, there's something very minute that we cannot put our finger on, but we can tell it when we see it, right? The
yeah,
hair, the water used to be the most difficult years ago, but that is just mastered now. The water and hair looks perfect now. But the
yeah. And
mouth and the eyes are still just,
yeah, it's really like I'd love to see a full series on some of these episodes because some of
yeah,
the CGI or the animation style is pretty breathtaking at times. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil that because maybe some people, because it's a popular show, but not everybody probably
yeah,
has watched it. Maybe I don't want to spoil too much, but like there's one episode in particular. I think it's called Pop Squad.
yeah.
The third
That's
episode.
my favorite one.
It's it's a really deep episode, man. Because in this world, I think what I gathered from it is that if you kids aren't allowed,
Yeah,
next generations aren't allowed. You can either live forever or you can try and have a kid, and but you're not really supposed to. So these kind of Blade Runner type characters who just go around killing children, and it reminded me of Blade Runner because of the hunting, like Ryan Gosling's
yeah,
character hunts down Dave Bautista's character and kills him. They hunt down your own kind, and then there's kind of I just got real Blade Runner vibes from it. I thought the style of it was pretty cool and it's pretty deep. And at the end of the episode, what happens kind of stays with you after as well. So I thought it was a pretty deep
yeah.
and dark episode as well, and I really enjoyed that one. I think
I
one of the
would have
most,
watched a full movie with that, even just animation.
yeah, yeah, and that character, the main
Yeah,
character who was the guy who goes around killing these children, his character development in the space of what is it, 10 minutes, episode twelve
yeah,
minutes is amazing, isn't it? It's pretty good, and it kind of puts movies to shame
yeah.
because in some movies you don't get character development, or even in some shows that are 10 episodes, you don't get character development as good as this one did
Jupiter's
in
Legacy.
what 12 in what that was a few weeks ago now. Okay, so we move on. So I think that's pretty amazing. I really do. And did you like? What was in a cool episode was the drowned giant. It was the last episode of season 2. That was like a poem,
Yeah,
just like a really long poem. I like
yeah.
that one as well.
At first, I thought, why is he just keeping on talking? And then I realized, oh, he's just narrating the story and all that. And even the animation in that one, it's just flawless. Like the whole body and the textures of his hand and foot, it was amazing to watch. And when he goes onto his face and there's his eyes and teeth, it was just mind blowing.
It didn't. There's a lot of there's a lot of sexual scenes in these episodes as well,
Yeah.
and I wasn't expecting that. And yeah, just maybe that's something to say to people as well if you're going to watch it with family or something like that. Maybe not to,
Yeah. I
because
mean, they
there's
have the
there's a
rating, I
lot of.
think, for the show.
I do know. I wasn't expecting that. I just clicked play and I expected
Yeah.
there's these CGI characters having a good time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the
it was
the I don't know which episode it was in the first season. The one with the battleground, and they morph into mech characters, and have a fight in the ring. That was
hmm,
pretty, like, it was there was a sex scene in that, almost.
yeah, yeah.
And
Did you which one of these episodes was maybe your least favorite episode?
least favorite. That's really hard to pick in this season because I liked almost everything.
Yeah,
So I probably would say between the this one, between the grandma thing and the futuristic, the big whale one. Um,
yeah.
I think it's between those
Two of
two.
them, Yeah, like the tall grass one where there's this train
Yes, that was good.
on the go, and it just stops, and this guy kind of gets off to have a smoke.
Hmm.
The train just magically stops for some reason, and he goes into the long grass, obviously, and there's these kind of monsters, and they start chasing them around. But he kind of only takes a few steps into the long grass, but then he's lost straight away. So, and there's these weird monsters running after him. But that was kind of a short enough episode, but not much really happened. It's not like it's a terrible episode. There's just some of
Yeah,
these episodes where not much happened. Like Snow in the Desert is one where this character who lives forever, and if he loses a
that
limb,
was
he can
amazing
grow it back.
too. The twist
That was
at
a
the end
pretty
was
good
good.
episode. I would have liked to. That's another episode that I would have liked to have been a
Yes.
series or something because I thought the CGI style there was pretty cool or whatever style they use. But yeah, and there was also a creepy one as well. All through the house was a reimagining of Santa
Yeah,
Claus,
that was funny.
and
That was
it's
funny
kind of
and
it's
creepy.
like it's like these kids kind of excited for Santa Claus. It's Christmas night, of course, and they're laying in bed and they hear some noise and they go down. I don't want to spoil it, but like it's not the traditional Santa Claus. And I think that's something for us as like as people and even as kids, we think of Santa Claus because he's presented in a certain way,
Yeah,
because of marketing. Like
exactly.
Coca Cola, like Santa Claus is red got to do with Coca Cola because of branding, marketing, and stuff like that. It's a big fat man
Yeah,
with a big red coat, carrying a bag and a big beard.
yeah,
Because that's what we're told. That's not like that's such a small thing, but also like what have we been fed by, say, governments or by politicians or by other media outlets about things that are presented to us in a certain way, but they're not actually that way because we've never really come face to face with that.
yeah.
And these kids come face to face with this Santa Claus that they've been told about. And you know what? He delivers presents and
It's
he gives them toys, but there's a different spin
yeah,
to it, and I actually like that. And that's a good thing about everything in life. It's not maybe things aren't always
yeah,
as they are told to you, but look yourself. So I did like that one a lot, and
yeah.
it was funny at
That's
the end. It was funny as the kids.
that's what I loved about this. This show basically, like all both seasons, all episodes. I'm like, it just has to be an idea, right? So the idea for this amazing episode was just, what if Santa wasn't how you thought he was? Didn't look like how you thought he was, right? That's it.
Yeah,
That one line just gave birth to an amazing episode. So I just love these,
yeah,
ideas that can be turned into short films or, anthology series like this. And I'm so happy that this got renewed. And Scott here says they split the season two order. Season three is already coming out next year, and so I think they released half a season.
all right,
That's good.
that's cool.
I
Like 18 episodes is still a lot to watch in a season, so maybe that's probably the better thing. Set up.
Yeah, but overall runtime is pretty low, right, for season two.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah,
that's
but like,
that's very high quality animation. It takes years. So
but also if we're reviewing this show and it had 18 episodes right now, if we were reviewing season one, like we probably wouldn't be putting the spotlight on some episodes
yeah,
probably deserve it. Here now with 8 episodes, we get to kind of discuss, theorize, break it down. It stays with us after.
yeah,
So yeah, I think 8 episodes for a discussion point of view, for how it affects you as a human being point of view, I think is more beneficial to you because you can if you watch 18 episodes, some of them get lost, some of them you just
yeah.
forget because you're binging them like this.
That's
Yeah, these
very
ones are
true.
kind of like a yeah. So
In the
yeah, I
first one,
enjoyed
one
it.
of the favorites of mine was Zima Blue. And a lot of people seem to like that one too. I don't know, it's just something. It's not even the animation is great or anything. It's just the style of it and the context behind it, and how ridiculous the ending was. It's just wild, and I just love that.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't need an explanation of these stories whatsoever. You don't need to. If there's a monster, you don't need to find out where he came from. It's just you're in this story right now at this point of view, or this point of this character's life, or this monster's existence. So that's pretty awesome. So, um, yeah, and then he's got saying there's some stories they're based on books or something like that as well. That's pretty cool. So
Oh, that's
short
nice.
stories.
Yeah. I'm also
Yeah,
I'm also
so
glad
he's
that
banging.
Tim Miller and David Fincher are doing this because they're big names and they know what to do.
Yes,
of course they'll bring on good stories.
hopefully Fincher doesn't leave this like he left Mindhunter. I'm still sour over that.
Really, dude,
So
that's just one season. Like, why? And it's this time. It's not even Netflix's fault. The director doesn't want to come
yeah,
back. I'm like, really?
yeah. That's the only show that kind of resembled a little bit of True Detective for me. I loved True Detective season one. I think is the best single season of television ever. Not series, but single season, season one. And Mindhunter was giving me some of those vibes again. Hopefully, it comes back at some stage. Yeah,
Nice.
but
I
there's
should
great
check
minds
True
involved.
Detective then.
Oh man, True Detective is brilliant. Season one is just a masterpiece in my opinion. Season two is a kind of it's a good cop show if it wasn't titled True Detective. True Detective season three with Mashallah Ali, I was butchering that, who's playing Blade. He did a pretty good job,
Ray Fisher is
but
in it
it
too,
just
right?
doesn't. Yeah, he plays his son in it, so he's a small role, but he's a beneficial role to the story and to the character. The character in the series is kind of a he's an anchor towards other characters. So I think it's I don't know if Virtual Detective will ever get back to the heights of season one. I think it's just an amazing show. But yeah, this show here, I'm glad that you got me interested in of Death and Robots
Yeah.
because
I
it
was
was
like,
definitely it was worth my time.
when season one came out, I was just hyping it up for everyone, and then it just kind of went away because not a lot of people like to watch animation, and there's
Yeah,
literally just nothing very exciting when you pitch this show to someone, except showing the concepts and pictures, and showing just one episode will get you into it. But to get there,
yeah,
there's just not much to pitch. Unless you already like Black Mirror, then you can just say that, oh, it's just like Black Mirror, but it's animated. But once you get
yeah.
into
But
it, it's
I
just
wouldn't.
crazy.
I probably wouldn't have watched this when you said we're going to be reviewing Love, Death, and Robots on the show. And I says, "Oh, okay, I'll watch it," but because I'm not really into anthology stories,
Yeah,
because I
me
like to be
neither.
attached to the stories, to the characters.
Yeah,
So like that's why I like series or movies because you have time to breathe with these characters. And this is only 8, 10, 12, 15-minute episodes. You don't have too much time to be attached to them. But I think the writing team involved with these episodes did a good job of you sympathizing for these characters, even though you don't know them, where they came from, how they are the way they are, where they are. But you see them in a vulnerable situation. And I think as a human being, you want to see that person or whatever it may be come through that moment. So I think it reflects a lot about ourselves. I think watching this too.
yeah. I'm definitely, waiting for season three, and it's one of my favorite shows ever. So, I'm also waiting for more Black Mirror because I'm now into these kind of shows. Because it's not like you have to commit to them, and you can just watch them in random order, and they're just good stories, just one time good stories like
Yeah,
you watch YouTube. So it's great.
true. Yeah, yeah. And I was a little bit annoyed there was no kind of zombie ones. Maybe there will be.
Yeah, maybe in the next year.
I want to see a zombie one.
Well, we have a zombie one, and we'll talk about that also next year,
Mm,
when you watch it. But before that,
yes.
we have another topic here today. The movie is called Woman in the Window, which is an Amy Adams movie. This was pretty much hyped before release, and and then it released. Dude, this movie is
Yeah,
is just so much fun. I know it's a bad movie. I know the ending is so weird and so bad, and Uh, but I was just laughing at all that stuff because I think it was intentional, some of it. And
yeah,
the first half of the movie and up the first two acts, I would say, is just it's they're just fucking with your brain, and they're fucking with Amy Adams' mind and all that. So it keeps you intrigued enough, and you are really, curious as to where this is going. And then the third
yeah,
act starts, and it just this thing happens. The funniest scene in the entire movie was this Amy Adams yelling like that. It just was so crazy to me. Like, how can the tone of the movie up until now be so serious and so thrilling, and then the third act is just bonkers, like old movie style, a monster hunting slasher type movie, and it's just so funny that it just took that turn. What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, I'm surprised because Joe Wright, the director, because he has some pretty good movies that I like. I like Hannah. He directed that movie, pretty good action one. The Darkest Hour, he was the director of that. You know, he did an episode of Black Mirror as well. It's like I was expecting a little bit more from him as a director. Like some directors go over to Netflix and like they kind of lose a bit of themselves at times as well. I don't know what it is. Like some directors move over and they just don't have that certain spark that they do maybe for a theatrical movie at times. But like Amy Adams is brilliant and everything. And she probably saves this movie in ways, you watch it for her because she's a good actress and stuff like that. But yeah, I just thought the
Yeah.
it has a great like Gary Oldman's in this as well. And
Yeah.
I don't know why he picked this one. Anthony Mackie's in a small role too. So like cast is pretty good for this, but I don't know what happened. I don't know. It was trying to be weird. It was trying to be meta. It was trying to a thriller. It was trying to be a psychological battle as well. Wyatt Russell was in this actually too as well. So you got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier crew coming over to this movie, and like, they might as well have just stayed over and
Yeah,
Falcon and the
seeing
Winter
him
Soldier
was
because they
cool
didn't really have
too.
much to do. I didn't have much to do, but yeah, I think I think it's doing pretty well on Netflix. I think it's an easy thing to put on for people because people like these types of thrillers and mystery kind of movies. It's okay. Like there's actually times I was watching it and I was intrigued at the story because I was like, what the fuck are they trying to do
Right?
here? Because I don't know
And the
what they're trying to
music
do.
was so
And
intense. Like
yeah, so
even just
maybe
her
they did a pretty
watching
good job.
walking to somewhere, it was just so, intense music playing. And I was like, wow, this is good.
Yeah, maybe they did a pretty good job at. We're not going to make a good movie, but we're going to keep you
Yeah.
intrigued into what we're doing. Because I don't know, and
I heard
yeah,
the
the
third
ending
act
could have been a lot
was
better.
reshot. But again, it's not that it was bad, technically bad. It was just the old, how the old slashers look. It just turned into that. It wasn't a thriller movie anymore. So
Yeah.
I was just like, what's going on here?
There's one cool shot when she's in the house, and I think the police is there. I think the neighbor is there as well because she's watching these neighbors, and she sees a murder happen as well. And then the Gary Oldman, he has a wife, and then the wife changes halfway through the movie, different person altogether.
Did you
So we don't
predict
know if
that?
it's uh, like what.
The reveal with the wife?
No, I didn't predict anything in this movie. See, I didn't know what the
Really?
fuck we were doing. But
I was
yeah,
when I was
but
watching it and she kept saying, "But she's his wife" and all that, right? I was just like, what if she lied to you? What if he's cheating on her with someone else and that girlfriend came in? I was thinking actually it's just a side chick. I didn't think it was this crazy that they had an affair and
yeah,
they dumped and left. I thought there was an affair going on and she's just a girlfriend or something. And I was just thinking, why don't you think that it could be
yeah,
someone else that lied to you, you know? And obviously it
yeah,
was that, and but the context was
yeah,
different.
yeah. But the one shot that I actually loved in the movie was we're in Amy Adams' house. You got the cops. You got Guy Oldman there. You got maybe his real wife, and his son is there as well. But Amy Adams' character went through something pretty traumatic. She was in a car crash with her family,
Yes, I loved
and
that.
there's one scene where
The car is
she's in
inside.
one room and yeah, she's looking into another room, and inside the room is the car that she crashed in, and there's snow falling down. I thought that was a pretty cool uh, image to see in the movie.
Hmm.
I thought that was done pretty well. I just thought it was cool. That's my favorite shot in the entire movie. Just to see that was pretty well done. And yeah, so she gives a great performance. It's kind of just a movie to watch Amy Adams give different ranges of acting. I think she does a standout job. Of course, Gary Oldman doesn't have that much to work with. But still, he kept me as a viewer like thinking, oh, what really is this guy? Is he a killer? Is he made out to be a killer because Amy Adams' character is crazy? Is he make is he covered up some big conspiracy? So Gary Oldman was great as well, but yeah, I think it's an okay movie. It's I wouldn't say it's a terrible, terrible, terrible film, but it's not great either.
For me, I thought the movie was awesome because I know it's bad and still I enjoyed it. Even the ending, it was so ridiculous and it was funny, but I still, for the most part, before the ending, before that, I was really enjoying it. So I would just say that I really enjoyed the movie. And for as for the ending part, it was just funny and I had fun with it. So I would probably not say that it's totally terrible. It's just the second half of the movie that gets there. So the entire movie is not
Yeah,
bad, but the ending just is so ridiculous that you have to think twice.
yeah. I was expecting a little bit better from the director because before the movie,
Mm-hmm.
before I watched the movie, I looked at his directing credits. I was like, oh, Pride and Prejudice, Dark Tower, Hannah. I was like, I really enjoyed those movies, so I'm expecting something pretty good. People were saying it's a bad movie. It can't be. This guy did these movies, but this maybe just a one off for him from him. But he did direct, I think, Pan as well a few years ago. So he's not really on the best of run with movies. So hopefully he can find his form again. But I think he actually is a good director, and there's some nice shots in this. But maybe he needs to get a better team around him for writing the movie and the
Yeah.
script and stuff like that. Maybe a better chosen outline for a movie. But I think he's a very good director. So I will. I still will watch his next movie because I like him as a director. But yeah, he needs to get a different kind of maybe theme or different kind of maybe a little bit more of a rounded script
Yeah.
for him to show off
I
his
mean,
talent.
I liked the movie, how the movie looked too, like the shots, how it captured what Amy's thoughts were and what her mindset was throughout the movie. And I especially liked the one shot where she finally goes out and she has to, go out of the room, right? And go out of the
Yeah,
house, sorry. And when she does that, the camera just, goes into her umbrella and it's just shooting her. And I thought that was a brilliant
yeah,
shot, because it kind of just implied that she was we're just seeing, what she's seeing, and we're just in that zone and nothing else. And that was awesome to see. So yeah.
yeah.
So with that out of the way, we have our next topic, which is the Disney Shakeup, which we will talk about
Oh, buddy.
with our special guest. Yes. Okay, sorry. Wait.
The
So
intro.
there's something going on here, which is I'm hearing him via Skype, but it's not in OBS. So I just got confused. One moment. I'll just be right back. And we're back with our very first guest on our show ever, which is Stephen Colbert.
Hey.
Hi, Stephen.
Hey. Good. How are you?
I'm
good. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for having
sorry
me.
for the trouble.
Thanks for having me. No, it's fine. I was worried it was me because I was worried it was me because long story short ruined like an hour of prep time on my own podcast the other day. We were all set to go when I was using the same computer that I'm using now, and then I booted up Skype and it was like we don't know that where your microphone is, and I was like, okay, let's try again. And I was like, cool, there's your microphone. We don't know where your camera is. I'm like, only do one at a time. And so I'm glad to know that I'm not at fault in this case. I am not at fault in this case. Or I hope I'm not, at least.
It was just me setting up the camera and the frame and all that. You know, stuff like this will happen when you have OBS and not StreamYard.
Is that for BVS by the minute? On our podcast. You hear me?
What was that to me? What was that to me?
I was asking.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
What'd you say? Yeah, the podcast you were doing. Is that for BVS by the minute?
It was actually for Patreon. We recorded a Dawn of the Dead commentary.
Nice.
So I guess technically we just started, or hypothetically, I guess there's no like official first episode yet, but we're doing Army of the Dead by the minute, and so. As part of that, we're gonna do a Dawn of the Dead, like listen along commentary track, and so that was gonna lead into the Army episodes, and then we ended up just doing commentary because it took so much time troubleshooting my connection and all that.
That's pretty cool because. That's pretty cool because you have Batman v Superman by the minute. You're planning on doing Justice League by the minute then as well, are you?
Yeah, we've done several of the sections from Justice League before we head into like the minute by minute part. But yeah, we're going to be doing both of those by the minute, and then Dawn of the Dead. I feel like it was kind of
our thing,
like it's our thing, and so it was kind of like, well, I guess that's what we're supposed to do, right? There's the new Snyder thing. We're supposed to do that by the minute. So
yeah.
We got that one now too.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, but
Nice.
Kissy is the voice is echoing there.
Whose?
His voice is echoing.
Is it? One moment. Steven, your voice is echoing? I don't hear it.
I'm not hearing anybody echoing. So if there is echo, it's just if it's my voice, it's not something I'm hearing.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not hearing Steven's echo. So it might be someone else.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Cool.
Okay. It's fine. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So the next topic here was, one moment. I still have to, do this thing. Sean, why not you talk about something until then?
I was just sticking pause and fix the audio, guys.
There it is. Now it's fine.
Okay. All okay. Okay now.
Yes.
Okay now. Yeah.
All right. So sorry everyone for that, but now we have our next topic here, which is the Disney merger. We'll talk about that first. So a few days ago, on May 12th, there was news coming out that Disney has now a reorganization in their corp, just like WarnerMedia, but this is something different. So it was the title here says Disney's New World Order leads to confusion and bruised egos, and there's a lengthy article that goes into all that, and it just basically says that some studio insiders from Disney, they say that Bob Chapek is getting more kind of aggressive right now, and there's been some rift between him and Bob Iger, and they are not liking his decisions and they're unhappy. So I was just wondering. So basically, it was a thing that he's bringing in sales executives and putting them in charge of creative decisions. And this is something a lot of major corporations do in whether it's entertainment or otherwise, they do that, and that often leads to not that much success or quality. So there's a risk here, definitely, because the insiders are saying that they're changing Disney's way of doing things that has made them successful for so many years. And even Kevin Feige and Star Wars, Lucasfilm, and all that's going to be affected by this decision. And even Alan Horn is going to leave after at the end of this year. So, with all that, I was just wondering if what are your thoughts on where Disney will be in the future, and what will happen to the MCU or Star Wars or their properties?
Go ahead, Steven.
I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure. My kind of assumption with Disney
they just
is
kind of always tend to work
they
their
just
stuff
kind of
out.
always tend to work their stuff out. I'm not as familiar with their like corporate structure and everything, but they've got such a long kind of track record of making things work. That you can debate quality,
there
and
you can debate quality, and you can
kind
debate
of creative
kind
directions
of creative directions they're taking with
Star Wars.
Marvel or with Star Wars. But
the production pipeline
tends to get filled, and the box office tends to
be there.
I kind of make the assumption. Typically, like they're not exactly about to go off and do like
anything
anything
or edgy,
risky or edgy, and that's just kind of who they are and what they do, and don't kind of hard to even hold that against them because they've got that kind of track record of success.
As a result,
sometimes for me is always like sometimes I'll dig into it, but most of the time it's just kind of like, well, they're just doing what they need to do in order to continue doing what they've been doing for 100 years. So
I don't know, it's a boring take.
It's a boring take.
No, I mean it's totally
To me,
valid.
that's just kind of what Disney is.
Because like it's not just it's not just a transition, because he basically got gold handed to him and he just has to run it safely, right? And Disney's approach has always been the safe approach, and they always go their ideology is to make content that's appealing to the majority, and that's how they have always been. So I think that's a safe approach and it's working for them, so that's great. And the new teams or whoever comes in, they don't have to change much in order to they don't really have to do anything to take Disney into the future. The one thing that comes into question is streaming, and I think there is a risk there. But again, so far they're handling everything perfectly, and it's been working out for them. However, they're doing it, and the numbers are there and everything. So, do you think this will affect their streaming business?
Just Casey, your audio is fine. Sorry if I seem zoned out. I see the audio on Stevens. Echo on Stevens. Small one on mine as well. Might be a small one on mine as well.
Really?
Yep.
So, are you echoing? Are you hearing the echo or the audience?
I checked the my stream here now. I checked the my stream here now. They're hearing it as well. Echo on Steven. You're fine a little bit as well, and I'm a little bit as well.
That's weird. I can't hear Steven now. Anyway.
Well, I was muted for a second.
Okay.
I was
Now I
muted
can
for a
hear
second to see if that.
It's me and Steven. It's me and Steven. You're fine.
Oh. Okay, so it's only you guys. I think it's because of
Yes.
Skype.
Yes.
Hold on. So anything you guys were talking about, the echo is coming on.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Sean, say something, and let's check if there's echo now.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Hello.
I don't think there should be echo now. Is there echo now?
I don't
know because the stream's behind. So
Yeah, I didn't hear anything on Sean's end, so I guess the test is me.
Right. I think the echo will be.
We just gotta wait for the stream to
Yeah,
catch
the
up.
echo will be gone now. It was mostly because I added, the video adds 2 audios as well, so I think that's why. So is there echo now? Say something.
really caught up.
No, it just caught up.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, it just caught up to where I said something last, and it
Nice.
sounds clean.
Well, I fixed it.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect now.
So yeah, the question was
There we go.
about streaming. What do you think? How do you think will affect the streaming thing for Disney?
Yes, because like Disney's formula has always been like it's the fans first. They always have this kind of formula. And now it seems to be kind of changing in a way. But
What a
like, I
weird
think
formula
Disney,
to have, right?
he's making big changes. But I think isn't Disney's hasn't it, the stock has gone up as well the last kind of year, even with COVID and stuff like that. But again, that's the stock. That's not kind of the quality of the shows and movies that are coming. And like whatever he's doing right now, we won't see the implications of this until a year and a half now, or maybe even 2 years, because he's putting all these operations in place right now. It takes a while for that to hit the movies and to hit the talent and stuff like that, because movies take a while to get made. So yeah, it could be disaster, but again, it's Disney, and whatever they've done over the last how long they've been in the business has always kind of worked. So I don't see whatever he's doing will go too far away. Maybe it will cause disruption between talent, directors, writers, and stuff like that. Maybe, but then again, I don't know if it's going to have that much of an implication really, because it's Disney, and they is changing the formula a little bit. But I don't see how I don't think it's going to affect Kevin Feige at Marvel or anything like that. I don't think it's going to affect Jon Favreau and David Filoni, what they're doing with Star Wars or anything like that. I don't think that's I don't think it's what's going to happen. I think maybe from a business standpoint, it could change things in a way, but I don't think it's going to mess with the big boys at Disney right now.
Steven?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, and I don't know enough about like Chapek to know what his kind of game is or what his preferences are, but there's a sense I've always kind of gotten with, especially with Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm, that they've kind of got their own thing going on, and obviously they conform to sort of the Disney model in a lot of, if not most ways, but the creative shots are usually left more so to, Kathleen Kennedy is still going to be in charge, and Kevin Feige is still going to be in charge, and Chapek might influence like maybe how many things get greenlit, but not necessarily what it is or how it is produced.
Yeah, and like look at it's not like it's been perfect for Disney in terms of Lucasfilm over the last few years, but their directors, like like with the Force Awakens, then Last Jedi came, a bit of a change and shift. Ryan Johnson's kind of eased out. J.J. Abrams was brought back in. Talks maybe that script that Chris Terrio wrote was kind of changed. Maybe some reshoots and stuff like that. So like you're always going to have problems on some level with these high-profile movies. So like it's not like it's been plain sailing for Disney in the last few years. Marvel seems to be okay because that's the right guy at the head of it. And now it looks like Star Wars is getting on the right direction again, because Kathleen Kennedy has now people she can rely on, as in David Filoni and Jon Favreau and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be too worried about it, to be honest. I wouldn't be too worried. I don't think they are either, because the stock has gone up in a COVID time. That's pretty good. So I wouldn't see it this at the end of Disney or anything like that. It's not as big of a problem as what Warner Brothers are going through now in their transition.
That is
Right.
very true. And speaking of that, that is our next topic. So, a few days ago, the AT&T just basically sold off WarnerMedia to Discovery, and it was kind of a merger, but not really. They The CEO of Discovery is basically now running everything, so it was kind of a selling thing. And from the interviews I've seen him in and what he said in the trades and all that, he seems to be pretty much saying the right things. But he's saying stuff like he'll have creatives in control, and he said that he'll spend $20 billion yearly, and that's a really big change from the previous management, right? And stuff like that is very promising. And again, he says he'll have good relationships with talent. And one part of me says that, okay, this is something that everyone wants to hear and it's good. And I will definitely accept that, because that's not something that we even got before from the previous management. But again, he knows what to say, right? And he's probably just saying that just because everyone wants to hear that. What do you think is going to happen, Stephen, after he takes charge?
I think a lot of the kind of strife that came under AT&T was because AT&T isn't traditionally a media company, and so they were running things a little bit differently, like structurally. Like that was the big thing with Kylar, was coming in and getting rid of a lot of the kind of classic Hollywood bureaucracy and kind of entrenched like executive structures. And under Discovery, one of the Hollywood seems to be a bigger fan of it, which isn't always a good thing. I think Kylar and AT&T maybe were right to kind of thin out some of the herd there, but that process wasn't allowed to kind of be seen into completion. So I don't know what that means exactly for like in terms of corporate structure that is going to change under Discovery, but the one change is that they're going to have a much better grasp on producing content. Whether or not that means like good content or the kind of content that people want to see, I can't we'll have to wait and see like what they do. But they're going to be a lot more, just like their dedication to doing $20 billion in content a year, I think is out the gate kind of a big deal. Given that's going to be split between, there's going to be a lot more like reality TV and home renovation kind of stuff coming from Discovery. It's not going to be like 20 billion going to DC specifically or anything like that. But I think in a lot of ways it could be seen as a step in the right direction. I know the big question with anything like this is always from Snyder fans, like, oh, is this good for the Snyder Cut or for Justice League 2 and 3? And it's one of those things where, like, yes, there are 100 stars that need to be aligned, and
one of them,
this is
or at least part of
one of them,
so I guess
or
it's
at least
certainly
part
not
of
a
one of them. So I
bad-
guess it's certainly not a bad thing for if that is like the thing that you care about the most. But it's not a thing that is like tipping the scale. It's just one more thing down, and so now there's one down, 99 to go. And so yes, that's encouraging, that's positive, but it's not a like it's coming. This is this is the sign that it's going to be here. So they've still there's still executives that need to change. Like Emmerich and Sarnoff, and by all signs, Emmerich is already friendly with Discovery if he wasn't like directly involved in kind of orchestrating this. It sounds like Kylar was kind of, they pulled a fast one on him with this whole situation. So I don't know, I'm kind of wait and see on what everything looks like when it all kind of, see where the pieces fall. I'd say it's more good than bad, but it's kind of just new boss, same as the old boss in a lot of ways.
Fun.
Yeah, like it's very like our last topic as well. We won't see the implications of this for another year and a half or 2 years. It's kind of like how right now we're seeing Walter Hamada's DC Universe, even though he got the job, I think it was in January of 2018, he got the job, just the start of January. So like, we don't get to see his universe until really now what he's trying to do. It will be the same for David Zaslav, who's over Discovery and now is kind of over WarnerMedia and kind of over all these branches now. But yeah, as Stephen said, like this is a good thing to happen. It could be worse. This might never have happened, and the same people would have been in charge. So yeah, for the Snyder Cut, yeah, this is kind of a glimmer of hope for us. But I don't think it's the ultimate thing because there's so much going into making more HBO Max, WarnerMedia better success. I did a lot of reading up on David Zaslav when he got announced as kind of this merger happening, and his kind of motto, his kind of formula was reality shows and like Bear Grylls, stuff like that, going to the water, sharks, like that kind of TV shows, and they're like daytime TV, like they're very, very popular people, and that's what like, I remember as watching an interview, he was being asked like, how can you compete with Netflix? How can you compete with Amazon, with Disney Plus? He's like, yeah, well, we're not concentrating on movies, we're not concentrating on series, we're concentrating on what they're not doing. And he has a big implication in sport in Europe. He has Eurosport. There's also Golf TV. Like those are big organizations that have big followings of people who watch those kind of sports. Cooking as well as one of them. So you can see a lot more of that, as Stephen said. But he'll definitely. It's like you're getting HBO Max, which isn't where it's supposed to be in terms of maybe a Netflix or Disney Plus. But then you have Discovery coming over, where they are in their own league, competing with themselves. And now they're merging with WarnerMedia, and it makes the entire thing look good, even though it was kind of just Discovery that's good. So I think David Zaslav will end up helping WarnerMedia, a bit, and make sure they're getting on the right track in terms of a business point of view. But the right projects need to be greenlit as well, and the right movies and the right people involved. That's important. I don't think David Zaslav's going to come in and say, "Yeah, that we need to get Christopher Nolan on this project here." He'll be doing his side of it as well. But we'll have to see how it goes. But I think he's an interesting character. Like I like reading up in these times. Like in school, I was never good at maths. I was never good at business or history and stuff like that. But when you add movies to it, I automatically get interested, and then I start kind of putting the dots together. But so I think he's out earned Bob Iger in terms of yearly salary on a number of occasions. This is a rich man. He doesn't need money. He's obviously motivated by success, by making money, and by beating his competition. So I expect him in the next 2 to 3 years to start showing us what he's made of, because he's not playing around, and he doesn't want this to be the one thing he was never a success at. So I think he'll have the business.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you, and I also find him to be ambitious, and he feels active and wants to do stuff, and make stuff. So I got that vibe from him talking, and it's funny that he mentioned Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman a couple of times, and that's his priority, I think, with DC if he wants to do anything in that. So
yeah, because they're the Gordon Ramsay and the Bear Grylls of media, of movies and shows. They're the A-listers, just like a Bear Grylls or a Gordon Ramsay would be for Discovery.
That thing is obvious, and I don't know why. It's just, well, I know why, but it's just weird that it just didn't happen. But there's still hope now more than ever, I think, based on what's going on right now. But that might change if Toby still stays, and nothing changes in the exec team. So then again, it's just the same thing. Then nothing he can do will change that. But what do you think is the primary reason that this merger happened in the first place?
I think AT&T has been like they want to build their network, like their 5G network, and they have a lot of debt they want to build down. And I think that they were hoping that WarnerMedia would be if you're looking at like Disney Plus and how much revenue they're bringing Disney, like hand over fist, after being fairly new, I think they were hoping to be able to find an easy way to kind of start building that down, and the just kind of hassle ended up being probably more than like the worth. There's all sorts of infighting and behind the scenes politicking going on, and then you're managing I'm sure, or not sure. I know I used to work in wireless, and so I know that like that customer base is pretty finicky already. Like if people don't have their internet connection or whatever, you know, they're going to react to you know, pricing and connection speeds and availability and all that. And so you add in like movie fans to that, and like movie customers, and you know, Snyder Cut fans. I'm sure it's not like the majority, but I mean, you get people all of a sudden that are like way more. You add in this segment that's really vocal and opinionated, and it's like, okay, we're already putting this effort in, and like the if you're going to be putting in that much money and effort and time into something, maybe something that's more in their wheelhouse, it's I don't know, it just, if they weren't going to commit to it for the long run, it doesn't seem like the type of thing that it makes sense for like a short-term kind of cash injection. And it was easier. They had an opportunity to just get rid of it, and I think probably it was a relief to not have to worry about, you know, all that drama.
Yeah, I think, like, make no mistake about it, if this was a success, they wouldn't be selling. You know, they'll be staying around for the big bucks. But maybe some people might be confused as well, because they have 71% of the shares, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But they're not the sole owners. They just have the most shares. Would that be right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that, you know, the investors have 71% share in the company, and you know, the rest of it Discovery owns, right? But the executive from Discovery, the CEO from Discovery, is going to run all of WarnerMedia now. So how is that going to affect the decision making? Who will have the most authority?
They are, from what I understand, that it's forming a new company, and so it's not so much like that Discovery is acquiring them, so much as they are, you know, they're merging operations. However, you know, it sounds like, you know, the Discovery kind of model is probably going to be the dominating force. But there's a lot of complementary stuff going on. You know, Discovery is not making, you know, theatrical movies or, you know, TV shows in the same way that WarnerMedia is, and so there's going to be some duplication of roles that's going to need to go away. But also, I think that it's complementary enough that hopefully the two organizations join together, and it really is just going to be, I think, mostly applying the sort of Discovery ethos to WarnerMedia projects, as opposed to like outright consuming it. But also, the thing that people need to keep in mind with these mergers is that whenever they get announced or whenever news of it happens, the first thing that everyone says is that, oh, nobody's losing their jobs and nothing's going to change, and we still want to satisfy. You know, they say they're going to fix whatever the obvious problems are, but then claim, you know, we're not going to be laying off people or whatever. And like, the fact of the matter is, people are going to lose their jobs. There is going to be duplication, and they just always say that to smooth that over and kind of lessen, you know, kind of panic or concern over massive change. And once the deal closes, then they're like, all right, we don't need this department, we don't need that department, these executives are gone. So I wouldn't put too much stock into any sort of claims of what they are and aren't going to do, and I would look more at what has Discovery done in the past that worked, and just assume that they are going to assume that that's going to work going into the future, regardless of what they're saying their plans are.
Yeah,
I don't think Maslow's going to change his methods. The way he's worked the past 15 years, you know. But will it work in a movie basis, as Stephen was saying? Like, will that actually carry over to movies? Because reality TV shows, keeping up the Kardashians, is different from, you know, what we're going to get on HBO Max and in theaters. So it'll be interesting to see how well it does work.
I think his approach would help him in streaming, and streaming movies and shows and all that. Especially because there's HBO and their team is pretty good, and they keep making amazing content. The main issue would come to Warner Brothers movies and, you know, DC movies. So that's my main concern. I don't know how that will change, especially with the Snyderverse and, you know, all that stuff. Will Walter Hamada still be there? Because he's the head of DC content, right? So he doesn't need to go. They can still keep him around. My main thing with Kylar was that I didn't think that they would let him go, you know, because he was the head of it. He was basically the head of HBO Max and doing overseeing that, right? And so far, I think he was doing a pretty good job. Maybe not the best, and maybe not the best decisions were made, but he was still, it was still the first year, and again, he's not leaving now immediately, but still, I didn't think they would let him go, and that was a surprise. So that means maybe there's more surprises like that in the future.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, you look at, like I was saying, Kylar rubbed a lot of people in Hollywood the wrong way, for a lot of reasons, and um, I think that that was especially true internally at WarnerMedia. He very much was saying we're not going to do things the old way anymore, and people were losing their jobs and people were losing their power and weren't getting away with the kind of things they used to get away with under him. And it makes it really easy to make him the scapegoat then for whatever kind of issues you're facing. I think that it should be notable that Toby Emmerich seems to be relatively close with Zaslav, and I don't know if it'd be fair to say that he like orchestrated the deal or floated or connected any dots to like to make it happen necessarily, but I do think it's a significant thing to kind of note that they've got a long history together, and probably Zaslav is going to have more preference to giving an ear to that. But also, whenever there's a merger like this, no matter the success or failure of a CEO, they're almost always going to go simply for the ease of transition. There's two CEOs. It's rare that one is going to want to then take a seat beneath the other one. They'd rather like go out on top throughout the merger, and it's a better chance to get a better package also for the exit. So I don't know. There's a bunch of different kind of angles there, and I'm sure that a lot of people are going to try to make Kylar the scapegoat if they haven't
I
already.
think they did.
But the biggest thing with his exit is that that's just kind of the way it goes when there's a merger like that. Is whoever is not going to be in charge doesn't tend to stick around.
Yeah.
He's kind of the one who came out when the announcement was made about the going to streaming those big movies like Matrix and Godzilla vs. Kong. He was the one that was backing it up and saying, like, he was even saying it might even carry over to 2022. There's no different answer on that. Like he was saying in interviews. So yeah, he definitely was like Toby. Maybe behind the scenes, maybe he would have been a big pusher of that, but he didn't come out in interviews and say, he didn't put himself at the front face of it, and Killar did. So yeah, we'll have to see. He probably, as Stephen said, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, rubbed a lot of the big talent the wrong way. And when you if you're going to have to choose between a list director, a list star, or an executive, the executive can be easily replaced. So I think he kind of maybe effed himself over there, kind of in a way. But of course, Warner Brothers were just going to throw him under the bus anyway, because it wasn't going well.
And what do you guys think about the news that Toby? It was not news, but the rumor that Toby was being floated around to Netflix and looking for other jobs. Was that from Toby, or do you think that someone actually did that?
I don't know where the news itself came from. I do know what I heard about it after Grace Randolph started teasing it was that it was mostly like speculative. So like there was the fact that that Emmerich had kind of been floated, and there was a question of like what's going to happen at the end of his contract. But for the most part, the inspiration for the piece was his contract ends in 18 months and it's not a sure thing for him to stick around. And then the rest of it was speculative. But because he's become such a big name, like with people who care about the Snyderverse and all that, once the news came out and the fact that Grace kind of primed and stirred the pot on it being like, is this the end of Toby Emmerich? It turned it into this really big thing. And really, I think it's more like, oh, that's interesting. He might be looking at other opportunities, and his contract is up in 18 months. We'll see what happens. And it took a much more certain, like he's on the way out tone after it dropped.
On?
Yeah, it's hard to know like why it was done. Just a way of showing how bad things is internally at Warner Brothers. If he was willing to jump ship to Netflix or something, or maybe it was to make Killar look bad or something. I don't really know what the meaning behind what meaning of it was. Like, was he trying to say that I'm getting out of here because like Hillard doesn't know what he's doing? I don't know. It's hard to know, but like to think that if he goes, all the problems about the Snyderverse will be solved is wishful thinking as well. So it's like we just don't know. We just don't know. All these articles they're done because they're puff pieces for these guys who are suits, who know people who write the articles and stuff like that. There was even a Man of Steel one come out today to kind of disregard that movie. You just don't know really, and we won't know until we know.
Yeah.
That's the simple thing about it. We won't know if we know. So I can't really add anything to that.
I think that Toby, the problem with Toby is not just that Toby bad or something like that. It's just that he seems to have a direct opposition to Zach, and that's not good. That's not a good business thinking. That some other executives, whether they're doing good or bad, would make. That's my concern with Toby being there still, and directly linked to the Snyderverse happening, because he seems to have a personal agenda against Zach. He's not going like, oh look, Zack Snyder's Justice League did so poorly, and hence we're not continuing with it, right? Just like they did with BVS. So that would still be valid if that happened today, and if they did it with Rotten Tomatoes. But both of them were successful, and Rotten Tomatoes was good, and the streaming numbers were good. Whether it's as good as everyone's saying it is or not, it was still good, right? And he's still not saying anything. He hasn't called Zach. Kyler hasn't called Zach. Nobody has reached out to thank him if they're ending things with him. Nobody said that they're ending things with him, which of course, if there's a future, if they want to keep things open for the future, if changes happen or anything. But still, they just the very next day, Ann Sarnoff came out and with that article. I don't think that it was totally her opinion. I think that was Toby's doing again, because why would Ann Sarnoff have anything against Zach, right? She's new and she doesn't know all this. So what do you think of all that?
I think it's hard because you can't say that like personal politics are entirely absent from these situations, but it's really easy for people, especially people that don't like run multi-billion-dollar companies, to assume that it's all totally petty and personal. But there's kind of another level with the stuff like this of these decisions are no longer like necessarily exclusively like I don't like Zach or I don't like Zach's fans, so much as a referendum on like the decision making that got them where they are. And so for someone like for example, you look at Walter Hamada, and he came in to Warner Brothers or to DC Films in an era where the kind of modus operandi was let's move away from Zack Snyder and let's mark out a different path and be different. And so regardless, even if he thinks that Zack Snyder is like the greatest and wants to restore the Snyderverse, which he doesn't, but hypothetically, even if he did, any decision to move in that direction invalidates the reason he got his job in the first place and the people that hired him. And then so you look at someone like Toby, and it's his decision making that ended up in a lot of these situations. And so there's pride, but then there's also a desire to like, do you really believe in your decision making? And someone like him, who's got a long history, is more likely to say like, well, it was the right decision making. We just haven't had the time or haven't been allowed the circumstances to see it play out correctly. And so they are going to kind of be dedicated to their way of thinking. And like I said, I'm sure that you can't entirely rule out the pettiness, but it's not exclusively like I'm mad at Zach and I'm going to do this to stick it to him. It's that they truly believe like, okay, maybe there is an opportunity with the Snyderverse, but it's a necessary, we have to nip this in the bud and move forward. Otherwise we're going to get caught up in this same cycle we've been in for the past decade. Which arguably the reason they're in that cycle is because they won't just commit to finishing it also. But while I don't agree with it, I can I understand kind of how you can get stuck in that kind of frame of reference. And that's, an issue they need to overcome.
Yeah, these are the executives. like you have directors, you have actors who, of course, want money at the end of the day as well, but they have that artistic integrity about them. Then you have executives, you have suits who want to make money, but also don't want to piss off their the hierarchy that's above them, their boss, or like if there's a certain political agenda within Warner Brothers that Zack Snyder bad, then you're not going to go against Toby Emmerich over it. You're not going to go against Ann Sarnoff over it or Walter Amada and say, hey, look, we should do this, because at the end of the day, these people have jobs as well, and whether it's right or wrong, they have to protect their job. I'm sure it's good jobs, well paid jobs, but they're not going to go piss off their boss. They're not going to go get fired over a director or a fan base because they think it's right necessarily. A lot of these executives go with the flow, they go with what the political agenda is. And look, we can see that maybe they could have had the Snyder Cut over by now and it could be finished and they could move on and they wouldn't have this cloud over them and stuff like this. But maybe a lot of it is ego as well. A lot of it is just, they think they're on the right path, and maybe they are. Maybe the next 6 DC films will be unbelievable and bring in loads of box office, and everyone will be rejoiced, and the universe will feel like a universe. And I don't know, but I just think a lot of Snyder's dropping hints in every interview that they don't want them to answer enough interview, stuff like that. I think we know where everyone stands right now. Dak will come back if they want him to come back, but he probably will only come back if the conditions are right. He was being given the freedom to a degree, but DC are also saying that we've moved on. You got the Snyder Cut. We're going ahead. I know that's probably not the popular opinion. The popular opinion for me to say would be Affleck is getting a movie or a series, or Jared Leto's Joker is getting a series and stuff. And I want those things too. I'm not making fun of anybody or anything like that. But that's the popular thing to say. But I can't. I'm just going on what the facts are right now. Like Henry Cavill has signed up to do Highlander. He signed up to do talks of maybe even coming back from Mission Impossible. I know he was kicked off, but no one ever dies in these franchises. He's got The Witcher. He's got maybe talks of him being James Bond at some stage. Like, he has a lot of projects on his plate. Ben Affleck is doing a lot more dramas now. I'm sure he'll definitely get back into acting or directing pretty soon as well. You got all these high profile. Gal Gadot's pregnant right now. Like, who's to say, like, she might have another child after that as well and stuff like that. You just don't know what's going to happen with these people and where they actually stand. So for us to say the Snyderverse is definitely happening or being restored, I think there's a possibility of Joe Manganiello maybe getting a mini-series. That's that's restored in my eyes. If Joe Manganiello was able to get a mini-series, or if some other side character, like a Ryan Choi was able to get a more of a bigger role or a series or something like that, for me, I'd be happy with that, for the Snyderverse to be restored to that degree, because any movie that is in Zack Snyder's world after Zack Snyder's Justice League, whether Zack's involved or not, is a win for me personally. I think it would be cool to see. We'll just have to wait and see, and keep your campaigns going and stuff like that. But right now, to see the universe that's building with Army of the Dead and the discussion that's just being built around Army of the Dead, these theories which we'll get to and stuff, and just the characters, the world, it's very exciting. And for me as a zombie fan, I want to see that right now more than I kind of want to see a Justice League continuation. For one reason, because Zack Snyder looks a lot more happier. He's getting the freedom. Seems to be a hit. Henry Cavill's off doing his thing. Jared Leto is crazy. He'll do whatever coming up anyway. I just want to see my favorite director make great movies without any shit. So,
yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's also funny that yesterday he mentioned the Discovery merger thing, and apparently he probably has a lot of other different kind of projects, like maybe in an animated cameo in an animated thing or something like that. So I've always wanted Zack to do all these things, right? Even with the stuff he did with Wired and Variety or whatever, the things that other directors or actors do usually, right? So seeing all that from Zack was like always what I wanted to see, and finally now he's doing it, and we're all loving it. Of course we love it. Like, his personality is something that everyone loves, and we love the guy even more than his work. And it's just that more people are seeing him now, and hopefully the tide will change against the hate and all that. And more people can see that he's not what they call him. Like, it's just still so weird that they keep calling him all these things that he never said or he isn't. And now with these promos, people are starting to realize that, oh, he seems like a nice guy, he's hot, and all that stuff. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll jump over to the Hamadaverse. the worst name for a universe.
We'll have to see where that goes, because again, the next topic we have here is relating to that. They just announced another. So the WarnerMedia upfront event happened on 18th, I think. And uh, it's just so weird because I thought that these things would be part of their presentation, but it just dropped earlier that day. And the first thing they dropped was the Superman My Adventures with Superman, and Jack Quaid is going to be voicing Superman. And I think this is a cool idea, although I didn't like the art style here. And it seems like Teen Titans quirky type thing. I would have preferred a much more Justice League animation type thing. But again, I guess this is not for me. Maybe this is just for kids, and they'll obviously like it. But I do like the casting. Jack Quaid is fantastic. It's funny that he was in The Boys, and he went from that to being Superman, and it's just cool how that is. What do you think of this show, and are you excited for this, Steven?
Um, I don't know anything about it other than that it was a Superman animated show announced, and I saw the artwork for it. Um, I'm always interested in DC animation. I think they almost always do something interesting, and I'm, excited to kind of see what it is and check it out. But it wasn't something that it's not the type of thing that was announced where I'm like, oh yeah, that's my bag. I'm gonna be there like day one. Like I'll check it out. Assuming is it on HBO Max specifically, or is it being? Do we know how or when it's
Yeah, I
being
think
released?
it's on HBO Max.
HBO Max. Yeah,
Yeah,
Cartoon
so
Network are
I'm
involved
sure
with it as well.
I'm sure I'll check it out, and I have nothing against it, but it's not necessarily a thing where I'm like, I don't think I even tweeted about it. Like it's not like on my radar in a big way, other than the fact that like I'm sure I'll check it out sometime shortly after it drops.
Yeah. If it's good, then I
Yeah,
think I would too.
yeah, same as that. But like, I think the marketing, the first release of it, the image that's on the screen right now, I don't think it was the best choice. I think maybe one of him in the suit, Lois Lane there as well, and Jimmy Olsen. That would have been cool, but I just think that's a weird image to promote
What
it
if
with.
this is a Lois show?
I don't know.
Because it says My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah, it could be from her point of view or Jimmy's point of view, but like I think get us intrigued and excited about it, maybe show a little bit more what it's about. And yeah, if I showed you that image there now, you would not know
Yeah.
who that is without telling you it's a Superman show. So that's probably the problem with it. But yeah, look, if it drops like if it all drops at once, I'm sure I'll watch it. Or maybe it's going to be 30-minute episodes. I don't know. I'll check it out, of course, if I want to. But I'm not counting on the days to it. Right?
Yeah. It's not as
It's probably made for kids, and that's fine. Like we have Snyder Cut, we have
yeah.
Superman and Lois, if we want to watch an adult-oriented Superman, something for the kids to get interested, because no 4 or 5-year-old kid or 6 or 7 is going to grow up watching Nightmare Superman thinking that's bad. Maybe they will, but I think not every parent's going to put that on for their kids.
Yeah. It's not as bad as the Aquaman thing.
Although like my 5-year-old, I've tried to like get him into like the Teen Titans and whatnot, and he always kind of gravitates towards, he'll see like a Watchmen poster and like, I want to watch that one.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not letting him watch that just yet, but I think it is interesting that people think like, oh, this kiddie stuff is more for the kids, and like I do my best to not influence his like, media consumption, and even try to encourage some of the stuff that's more kid centric, but yeah, I find that more often than not he'll lean into the like, oh, I want to watch that one. It's whatever is darker or more adult oriented, and I let him in as long as it's not egregiously, I'm not gonna let him watch Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, but I watched he watched like the New Frontier, and he read the comic with me, and then watched the animated movie. That gets kind of dark in places, and that's like resonates with him way more.
Nice.
Yeah.
The DC AU animated style is pretty good. Like it caters to all audiences, I think. I mean, even I like all of them, and they're they're not as overtly, aggressive, violent, and all that, except some of them. But for the most part, they're not, and I think they do a pretty good job. Even the recent one, the Wonder Woman, Justice Society one, that was amazing. I really like that.
Yeah, like I can't really name too many Marvel
Yeah.
animated shows or movies off the top of my head, and like maybe because DC are just so far ahead of them. Like earlier on the show, I reviewed MODOK, finished it today, and it was something different, but it felt more like a DC show, Harley Quinn type of show instead of a Marvel show. So uh, DC have just so many different kind of Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War. They have Harley Quinn. They have the Long Halloween coming out. They have a different kind of variation of these stories, which is interesting. And I'm into the anime style that they use. So maybe this might be fun. It might be maybe has some good comedic elements to it. The guy from The Boys is involved, the voice of Superman. Quaid, is it Jack Quaid or I'm blacking
Yes.
his name now, but he's involved. So
Yeah.
it might be a good one to watch. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, he's a great casting. I really like him, and I think he would do Clark and Superman both justice. Like, he's pretty good at. He has a good range. I've just seen him in The Boys, but he
Just,
has a pretty good range of going to the
yeah,
emotional
just
depths,
based
and also going, taking a hard stance and everything like that.
just by his casting, you can probably see what type of
Yeah,
Superman Clark Kent they're going for.
pretty
You know,
nice.
he'd be
Yeah.
quippy and stuff like that. So, yeah, but there's another one I'm more excited for.
And then there's the next announcement that was, I guess this was yesterday or today. The Rock is going to be voicing DC's Super Pets. Crypto.
This isn't the one I was
Um,
talking about.
it's just it's just so unexpected. Although I can see that it probably would be a good idea, but I just never thought that he would do this, right? Because he's always taking on these big projects, and now he's doing Black Adam, and it seems like he's setting up that universe on his own, and then he's doing Super Pets. It's just so funny. What do you guys think of this casting?
It is, but I can see him doing. I thought he did a phenomenal job, like doing like Maui
True.
in Moana, which I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so I've seen Moana 5,000 times. But I can see The Rock doing a really good.
Yeah.
He's crypto, right? And I don't know, that project to me has always just been a like, it's very much that kind of project where it's like, yeah, let's get The Rock. And hopefully they kind of get that crazy with the rest of the voices, and it's just an opportunity to like have fun with the IP in a way that isn't connected to all this politics of like, is it DCEU connected or not? It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
just a movie about dogs. Like, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I actually I remember when this was first announced, people were going crazy over this announcement. Like, there has to be something for families to go and watch as well. Like, but like I think like if The Rock's attached to this, he's not going to attach himself to a piece of shit of a movie. He's going to attach himself to a
Mhm.
movie that is maybe inspiring or has something about it, like a Moana. So yeah, I actually think this might be a good movie if The Rock's attached to it and if he's doing the voice for Crypto. I guess we're even more interested and a little bit excited and kind of ironic that he's playing that type of character and he's playing Black Adam as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit more. My interest has gone up a little bit. I don't know if I go to theaters to see it. I don't know where it's going to pop up first, but
Probably
I
HBO
I
Max.
think with him involved, you can expect. Yeah, maybe, but I think with him involved, it's not going to be a bad animated movie. I think it's going to have some weight to it if he's involved, and he'll market the shit out of it, and he'll probably do well. So win-win for everybody.
Yeah, the animation here looks 3D, and that's something different from the, your typical Harley Quinn or Superman that was just announced. And that's something that they have unique to them, and it looks pretty good. So maybe it will be a, big scale animation project, and hopefully it's good, because we've never got something like this before, and it will be something new. So I guess with all these, they're planning to actually making DC a more household name with all these different types of characters and properties that they had. But again, they come back to Batman again and Batgirl. And it's just so weird, the decisions. But again, this was one of them, and Batgirl is a current project that's going to be live action and is going to hit theaters, I think, before HBO Max, or was it HBO Max exclusive?
Just
Yeah.
Batgirl, just
Wow.
HBO Max.
Well, they have their new set of directors, and who would have thought it's not going to be a woman?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by the choice. And I still haven't seen Bad Boys for Life, even though I've heard a lot of really good things about it. And I guess I do want to check it out. It's just been a while since I've seen the originals. I wanted to rewatch those first, and I don't have time to like rewatch the whole thing. But I don't know. This is another one that's just like I have more confidence in Super Pets happening than I have in this happening. Not that I like doubt that it'll happen necessarily, just so much as it's so hard to. Whenever there's a project like this announced now, it's my reaction is just okay. Well, we'll see when like just like with The Flash, it's like okay, they're actually shooting it now. Okay, now we'll most likely see it. But until then, it's like okay, they're just it's just noise. And it'd be nice to get to a point where you can get excited at a DC announcement instead of having to wait so much longer. But there's just so many projects that they've greenlit as an attempt to kind of stir up hype for something that they don't ever really end up making. That something like this, it's just really hard to not be cynical about it.
Yeah, these two directors directed Bad Boys for Life, third Bad Boys. I enjoyed Bad Boys for Life so much I went to go see it 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was really good and actually had a bit of an emotional presence to it. And I'm a big Michael Bay fan. I love Michael Bay movies, Transformers, Bad Boys. And for these two to come into this, I was kind of a little bit sour. I was like, I want Michael Bay to come back to this, But these guys actually added a weight to the actual movie. So when this was announced, I was actually a little bit excited to see these guys come into it. They were part of the showrunning team with Miss Marvel, a Disney Plus show that's coming. That just finished, I think, last week, and they directed the season premiere of that, the first episode of Miss Marvel, and they directed the finale. So they're obviously wanted by these big studios at the moment. Bad Boys for Life, I think, was the most highest grossing movie of 2020. I know there was COVID and everything like that, but it still grossed a lot of money. And see them come into this is a little bit strange, a little bit different and a little bit weird, but the action in Bad Boys for Life was good, but Will Smith's getting on now. What's he, near 50, or maybe he's in his 50s? It wasn't as flawless maybe as a John Wick or other types of early Will Smith movies. So if they can get in of course it'll be a younger actress. I'm expecting the action to be revved up even more. But to see this go to HBO Max is a little bit strange considering Birds of Prey hit theaters. Maybe that's what they're putting them off a little bit. Wonder Woman in theaters as well. Like they had these female-driven solo movies out in theaters, while Marvel was kind of lacking in that department. Black Widow still hasn't come out, but Captain Marvel still did well. But they were a little bit ahead of the game on Marvel there. So I don't know what universe is going to be set in. If it's in Snyderverse, the Affleck verse, Keaton verse. I don't know. Who knows at this stage? And I don't know much about themselves. But yeah, I'm interested because these two directors are involved. But as Stephen said, it's hard to get excited for something that's going to be a while away. We don't know who's going to present the character. I don't even know if it's going to happen. So I get excited when these go into production and maybe a trailer.
Exactly. And then one more announcement that day came. It was the Batman Cape Crusader project, and this is being done by J.J. Abrams and I'm forgetting the name. Who was the Batman?
Reeves.
Yeah,
Is it
Matt
Matt
Reeves,
Reeves?
J.J. Abrams, and the creator of the um
Yeah, I can't think of his name. He's over on DC
Yes.
animated stuff.
Bruce
Tim.
Timm, right?
Is it Bruce Timm?
So they're doing this together, and it's going to be an interesting project because it seems like the font here says to me that it's Batman the Animated Series, right? And even the look of it kind of is similar to that. But again, the costume is different, and they're saying that it's kind of a reboot. So I'm not sure what exactly to expect, but I'm intrigued. Although I hate this cowl and the ears, but apart from that, I am definitely intrigued.
Yeah, can you bring up some of the comments as well from the chat there as well, and Stephen answers?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's hard to not get. Well, while I'm saying like this other stuff I'm not really excited about, and even with like this is I'm a little bit cynical about, but it's hard to not get excited about a new iteration of Batman for me. There's just knowing that they're not going to stick to one take is always encouraging. I think the stuff that's the hardest to get excited about is the stuff that they like take forever about,
Yeah.
and then kind of introduce like, and even with the Superman stuff, there's so many expectations to me of like what they're going to have to force Superman to be. But with this, it's like, okay, so you've got Affleck's Batman in the Flash, and you've got Keaton's Batman in the Flash, and you've got um, Reeves and Pattinson's Batman coming, and now you've got this Batman animated series. It's a lot easier to be excited about that just because you know that they're probably going to try to differentiate it in some way and maybe try to do some new things. And having Bruce Timm involved, I mean, maybe doesn't mean the same thing in 2021 as it would have meant in 2010. But it's still exciting, and those are three big names that could produce something really interesting and really cool. I would with stuff like this, it's hard for me to be fully sold without being told like why. Like what was it that made them say like, "Ooh, we need to do this as an animated series," and just a poster and a title doesn't quite do that for me. Um, but I do give those three specific people enough benefit of the doubt to say like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt with a poster. You still need to explain more, but Abrams and Reeves and Tim, they have a track record to speak of, so I'm interested.
I agree.
Yeah, they just showed us the poster and who was involved. It would have been cool to have a tagline. Cape Crusader will follow Batman and such while he goes through such and such, interacting with such and such. It would have given us a fair idea. That would have got us a little bit more excited instead of just a poster. And I think J.J. Abrams is a very good producer. I don't think Matt Reeves and him will be like every single day slogging on this show. I think they're there for probably name as well. I think isn't Matt Reeves' production company is not attached. Is it to either WarnerMedia or to HBO Max now? They made a deal there last year. So or maybe earlier on this year. But yeah, it looks very gothic, but it's probably not going to be that dark either because this is also attached to Cartoon Network.
Oh,
So it's going to cater to kids a lot. Yeah, so it's a HBO Max, Cartoon Network, Bad Robot Production, or whatever Matt Reeves' production company is called as well. So
Cartoon Network has done some pretty dark stuff too, though. So I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence about it. But I don't like the ears, but in a way that also kind of wins me over because they're already making stylistic decisions that I know are going to piss people off.
like Ben
And the
here.
fact that they're comfortable doing that makes me know that they're going to take risks in other in other areas. Maybe that's weird of me to like focus on that, but like whenever you show me something like that, I'm like, you know what? I don't love the ears. I would love for them to win me over. Whereas if it was just like a traditional Batman design, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just more of they're like rubber stamping, like, oh, you like Batman? Here's more Batman. And you can tell already it's not that just because of the ears alone.
True.
they find themselves in a weird position, Warner Brothers, because I'll give you a WWE wrestling analogy here. So John Cena was the Superman of WWE for years. So he was could never beat him. He was headline of every pay per view, huge fan, biggest merchandise sales ever. So like you had Hulk Hogan back in the early 80s and 90s. Then The Rock came. Then John Cena, and John Cena has been the very last superstar of WWE, and they've changed their methods in a way where they don't. While John Cena was on top, they never pushed anyone else. So let's just say Batman's on top now. He's the go-to guy for Warner Brothers. He makes the money, merchandise deals, TV shows. Like I think this is an opportunity to bring a new character to the audience and say, this character here is a. You guys probably have better examples, but this character here, who's never been really shown to us in animation before or movies, here's a show. And J.J. Abrams is going to produce it while Matt Reeves produces as well. That would probably be more beneficial to Warner Brothers in the long run to create a new superstar. And now WWE are struggling because they never created stars. Well, John Cena was a star, and now they're kind of lost and they have no profile or high profile star to sell the merchandise or headline the pay-per-views. What happens? Like without Batman or Superman, like who else do they have to really do that going forward in the future? So I wish they would try different characters and more risks, because Batman has been used and used and used. Why not try somebody else for once?
Overused, I think, at this
See how it
point.
goes, at least.
But again, this might not
Times,
be
yeah.
like,
can
this
be.
is not the main universe thing, right? So I guess that doesn't count. But then speaking of bad ears in the cowl, our next topic is the Batman
Don't
pictures.
go there.
Robert Pattinson's Batman. So a calendar was supposed to come out, and the movie was supposed to come out this year, right? So the the calendar was supposed to come out before that, and since the movie got pushed so far, the calendar still came out, and we have new pictures to look at. And I think some of these are pretty interesting. I especially liked the Selena Kyle one, and some of the vibe the artwork gives here. It feels very, again, it reminds me of Telltale Batman, and I love that. And again, apart from the cowl that I hate so much, the suit is awesome. The entire look feels great. It feels very Batman, and I like the aspect that Matt Reeves said that he was gonna go more noir and detective. So I like that part. um it's all of these choices are very interesting to me, but I still am not completely sold because I want to see um more trailers and stuff. The first trailer was good and I enjoyed that, but I still want to see more. I want to see what the Gotham feels like and what other characters are like, and that would probably get me more into it. Because right now I'm still, attached to Ben Affleck's Batman, and it's not that I'm totally avoiding this. It's just naturally not exciting to me as of right now.
Um, it's weird for me because I'm excited about it, but it's not one of those movies that is like always front of mind that I'm like aching for more news on. Um, but I think it's a great kind of alternative to the to like the Nolan Batman, where it's that same sort of gritty, realistic, grounded take, but it feels like it sort of embraces the like noir genre in a much bigger way. Whereas Nolan, while it was great, it almost felt like it rejected sort of the genre aspect of it in a lot of ways. It tried to remove a lot of the genre from it, and so it wasn't very stylized um or tonally. It didn't really play much in that area. um and it was, it was good for what it was, and people say like the like the Dark Knight is very much like a police drama. And this seems to kind of be inspired by that same, like, what if Batman was real, but take it in a much more like true genre route, which I can't like not be excited about. um yeah, it's sad that this is happening instead of Affleck's Batman, but it's also hard for me to kind of treat those as
Yeah.
mutually exclusive. Like, that Affleck was kind of so far gone by the time this came around that it's not like this is responsible for that being gone. This is just kind of the attempt to salvage Affleck's relationship with the studio being ruined by Justice League. And that's got nothing to do with Matt Reeves. And so it's not like if this in a universe where this doesn't come out, we'd just be getting something else instead of Affleck's Batman. And not like, it's not like if this were prevented from coming out, we would have gotten Affleck instead. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, if Affleck wasn't coming back, then it's good to have another Batman movie with these people involved. Like, I know, like, sometimes you're really afraid to post about Matt Reeves' Batman on Twitter because people come at your mentions like Ben Affleck. And like, it's not Matt Reeves' fault, it's not Robin Pattinson's fault, it's not Paul Dano's fault, it's none of these people's fault that Ben Affleck was soured by the studio and what happened. Like, if anyone came to us and said, "You want to make a Batman movie?" you'd take their hand off if you're in those kind of positions. So, like, I'm excited for this movie. Everyone knows that I love Matt Reeves as a director. His Planet of the Apes movies for me are just brilliant, especially War. I think is a absolutely breathtaking film. But And then Robin Pattinson, I followed his career very closely after Twilight. I've watched Lost City of Z, he's more of his indie movies, Rover, Good Time, Lighthouse, of course. So he's really built himself back up as an actor. And a lot of these actors who have been in huge franchises like Shia LaBeouf, Daniel Radcliffe, Robin Pattinson, they go and in an indie direction, these smaller budget movies, and they really express themselves as actors. And I think they build themselves back up. To see them make a comeback in something like this, and for Robin Pattinson to be in this, to be chosen by Matt Reeves, is very positive. I think he's gonna be great in the role. Paul Dano as the Riddler. Like, how many people can say they've outacted Daniel Day-Lewis in the movie? Paul Dano can. I don't know if anyone else can say that, because he just is a wonderful actor as well. So Kravitz is. I've only seen her in that kind of remake of the movie her mother did. I'm going blank in the name now. High Fidelity, that was called. She was good in that. She had a good screen presence, so I'm sure she'll be good in this. But like, these calendar posters seem very comic book esque to me. And I know that you're saying it's a comic book. It's a comic book movie, sure. And I'm like, yeah, but it felt like more of a grounded movie. But then I probably thought about it a little bit more. And Matt Reeves probably doesn't have a say in the marketing, how the calendar is going to look. So I don't think this is any way to judge how the tone of the movie would be in a way. But I think that there's some maybe Saw vibes.
I think Arkham
Zodiac
too.
Killer, some Seven. Yeah, Arkham as well. And even I actually watched, because it was talking about Affleck's Batman being based on the game film with Michael Douglas. And I went back and I wanted to watch that, and I get some vibes from this as well. So looking forward to this. I think Robert will do a great job, and Matt will do a great job as well. But you'll have the haters, but I'm looking forward to it, and it's coming out next summer. So can't wait. Jeffrey Wright as well as Gordon. Yes, and the nation says.
Yeah. He's the one who upscaled these images. So thank you, Sended. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Scott's here now as well. If you can see him, see.
Yeah, I know. I just fixed it. So yeah, these images seem like what I wanted from this Batman was to be more fantastical than Nolan's. Have all the genre tropes and all that. Not be afraid of someone flying in the sky and all that stuff, but also not be super like to the point of Adam West Batman or something like that. So I didn't want the groundedness to be that grounded either. So that's good to see. And from these images, although it's just marketing, I think it does give me that vibe that it's not completely grounded. It's not just people. It's superheroes and stuff like that. So yeah, I
hope it's a mixture of Nolan and Snyder in terms of you can have the grounded element like Nolan. Matt Reeves is his own team, but you can also have a Killer Croc exist in this world as well. I kind of want that. We haven't really got that yet from a Batman world where we have the Arkham element implemented into it, where there is people, meta villains, kind of per se, who have that kind of ability. I think that could be cool.
Yeah, exactly. I think the comparison to like the Arkham aesthetic is a good call, because while it's not, I don't think it's going to be quite that like sci-fi. It is a step further down that fork in the road from Nolan. It's like you take Nolan and you give it like 20% more Arkham, and like that's like what kind of the Matt Reeves vibe is to me. And that's exciting because, like you said, that opens up, like, you've got that kind of Nolan tone, but also maybe Killer Croc is in this universe, and it's not going to be that crazy, and that's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. But we have Scott here. Good to have you, Scott.
Oh, am I here? I don't even know. I was like, I'm sitting out the window. This is like, am I live? Do people see my face? I'm not really sure right now.
Well, they can hear you, but they cannot see you yet. So say something until I fix that.
I am a voice of God.
You need time to fix that.
So say something.
Yeah, I was seeing how far we could go on Batman, and seeing how long Scott could keep it in without being like, let me gush about Batman.
Oh my God, dude! Not very long, because I have legit hype for this movie, and then that Prime One Studio statue, I saw the photos were on the timeline today, and I was just like, That's good.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that um, it's just so weird to say anything about it right now because there's not as much information about it. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you. Also, hello Scott, you're finally on screen and
Ooh. Oh no, I
on
gotta
our
look
show
pretty. No, I gotta look
officially.
pretty. I gotta look pretty now. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Takes a lot of work to try to look this good. What can I say?
Yeah, Scott, we can see that, and you look amazing. And thank you for joining. Um,
The viewership's gone up since Scott came in. So whatever you're doing, don't change, Scott.
I mean, I bring the party with me. What can I say? It's the way it works. Sorry, Steven. It's just I hate to upstage you like this. It's like as long as you're hitting that like button, that's what matters.
Yeah.
that's awesome. How you been, Scott? And you were just on Dave's show, right?
Oh yes, we were doing our weekly Batman the Fanimated stream. So we were talking about Pretty Poison, the first appearance of Poison Ivy in the animated series. So great episode. That was one of our fun conversations because we got to gush about the episode and how amazing that show is, which is why this Reeves movie kind of excites me, is because I see a live action movie that could have qualities that made me fall in love with the animated series that still have not been adapted in a very fully fleshed out form in a live action movie. And I have high hopes that Reeves, if he can walk the walk that he's been talking, that's what the Batman looks like it could be for me. And so as a Batman fan, once again, I look at that trailer from Fandom from last year. I listened to him talking about what he was doing when he was writing the script. I mean, I want to get excited, and I am excited, and I don't want recent events to affect a genuine interest and love that I could have for this project. So that when it comes out, I want to be there with bells on.
What do you think about these images?
It's easy for people to...
Which images are you talking about? The calendar pics? Calendar pics? Like I've seen people on the timeline like lose their crap over them, and I don't get that because they're calendar images. I mean, they're promo photos. I've learned long ago in my umpteen decades of being a fan to not lose my mind one way or the other over leaked promotional images, especially heavily doctored images from tie-in merchandise material. I feel like doing that is just setting yourself in a way that it's like this cyclical nature that's like people sees images, people either hyperbolically hate them or hyperbolically love them, and then we get to the actual movie and it looks nothing like what's in the movie, and then we all end up feeling the movie the way we were probably going to feel about it anyway. That did not require the high school soap opera that is the Twitter timeline. Because people feel like they have to draw a line in the sand when anything like this comes out. And that's where I just call BS on it.
Sean?
Yeah. I think that it's not like Matt Reeves stood there on set saying that shot looked pretty good. That shot looked pretty good in the calendar. That was this is from a marketing team. We got to sell these calendars. We got to sell these calendars. What would be cool? Oh, let's have Batman in a cool comic book pose. Probably would not be in the movie. It's cool to see these. It's cool to see these kind of stuff. The dialogue kind of stuff is kind of pretty cool. Somewhat what the dialogue would be in the movie, like Riddler. It's cool. And yes, it's cool to see these characters again. I did my favorite shot probably just Batman standing there in the rain because that's what's cool. Yeah, if they're calendar pictures, I'm already excited for the movie. Calendar's not going to make me more excited. I have a Rise of Skywalker calendar over there. It looks like the best movie ever. So it's a calendar.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what it looks like.
Is that double audio on us right now?
Yeah, turn it off. All right, so we can. Scott, do you have any thoughts on the AT&T merger?
We have not recorded our DC Film Squawkcast episode about it, so my thoughts have been slowly matriculating throughout the week as I've had a chance to actually look at articles and look at other articles, and thankfully have people who, like my co-host Tim, who are much wiser and smarter in these matters because it's kind of part of like their everyday lives to deal with this kind of stuff. Right now, my thought is that fans need to slow the roll and kind of take a step back and breathe, because the reasons that this is happening have nothing to do with the stuff that we as fans hope and or want it to be about, nor do the things that we want this merger with Discovery to affect. Even if it does affect that kind of thing, we will not see the effects of that for months at best, and I'm speaking optimistically. That's not what this is about. And so to react to this merger news in a fanboy perspective kind of misses the point about A, why it's happening, and B, what its more immediate effects will be. And by immediate, even quote immediate effects are going to be months down the road. We are not going to see the actual fallout from this for a while because things are already in the pipeline. Things aren't going to, we're not going to turn on a dime on certain things. So I feel like I'm speaking to the fan community when I go, seriously, chill. Like really, can we get a reality check here? This isn't how business works. I would also say, as someone who 3 years ago, when we already went through a merger thing, when AT&T originally acquired Time Warner back in the day and created WarnerMedia, how about we take a minute to remember what we all thought and what we all kind of bought into 3 years ago, and realize how most of that did not turn out the way we thought it was going to, and stop thinking that somehow this is going to be some miraculous savior moment, that this is going to magically give us what we want. It didn't happen that way 3 years ago. How about we just assume the same thing's going to happen this time? Because once again, we need to understand, for the things that we as fans want to happen, certain individuals have to no longer be working at this company, and major cultural shifts have to happen on a corporate level. That's not going to happen overnight. So the things that we, in our fanboy dreams and wishing, it doesn't mean that. And we need to stop acting like it is, because all that's going to do is get you disappointed and angry when it doesn't immediately happen. And yet somehow you're going to think that you're going to be justified in thinking that. And it's like, no, you never should have expected that in the first place. So that's on you, not on the corporate merger business thing that's going on. I know that's not going to make me a lot of fans, but I just feel like it's the truth. And as I've sat and tried to pore over business articles, and I have a business degree. I actually went to school and got a bachelor's degree in business administration. And even I'm and my senior project was on mergers and acquisitions. And even I'm reading these articles trying to go, what the hell? And so I feel like there's way too many armchair business degree people. They're basically just fans saying, I want this to mean this, so thus it's going to mean this. And all I can say is, stop it. It's my variation of my famous Inigo Montoya quote. I always like to go is, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. And that's basically, if I can I will get off my soapbox now. It's really comforting to watch Steven just kind of nodding with that smile on his face. I'm like, thank you, Steven.
He's waiting for you to end.
Because he's going to talk like I've been talking. But I appreciate the vote of confidence, Steven, in what I'm saying. And I'll shut up now.
The merger doesn't even happen until next year, mid next year.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I said something very similar when we spoke on this earlier, but I think maybe it was not as. I appreciate Scott being a little more willing to be a bit more blunt with his approach. But I think the fact of the matter is, the big thing is that fans always want good news, and as a result, are by default more likely to believe good news when they hear it, and there is always somebody willing to give it to them, whether it's true or not. And it's those times you need to value someone like Scott, who will shoot absolutely straight with you and tell you what, like what he just did. Because the fact of the matter is, there's people out there that are going to say like, oh, this means it's happening. This is a good sign. And like I said, yes, this is a step in the right direction. Like, this is one of the stars aligning. Now we need the other 99 stars to align. And so it's hard to say like, this is going to make it happen, or this is a tipping point, when it's, step one of 99, and 99 of those things could never happen, or 98 of them could happen, and then the one still doesn't happen. And there's so many combinations of variables. There are millions of ways that this couldn't happen, and one way that it could. And that doesn't mean like lose faith or give up or whatever. It just means don't take this one thing as like a sign that it's time to party in the street or not, especially when, which I think maybe if we're looking for a segue, we just got such a feast of stuff to talk about served up from Snyder, and opportunity for like years to come from this new franchise that he's introducing.
That was great, Steven. And thank you for that. So our next
We
topic
should
is definitely
hire
that. And
we should hire Steven and maybe as my new co-host.
yeah,
See,
you
your
can
segues aren't as good now.
you can definitely continue what you were saying with that, as we are already into this topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think that it's funny because I went to the set visit and they talked about all of this behind the scenes stuff and this lore they had worked out and everything. And then they were making a big deal out of it in the lead up to the movie and the Area 51 and the aliens and robot zombies and all that. And then the movie came out, and the first time I watched it, that stuff was way less like in the forefront than I was expecting. And like there were elements of it there. It was clear that it like influenced what happened, but it wasn't until like the second watch and the third watch that I started picking out like it's almost better if you aren't aware of that stuff or aren't expecting it, because all of the little teases are there from the UFOs in the beginning taking off at the very, very start, and then the fact that he's from Area 51 and the blue blood and the robot zombies and the I don't even want to use the words, the time loop theories that are the ones I wasn't expecting. I don't know. There's just there has slowly, but also like it wasn't an immediate after the movie dropped, but over the last 24 hours or whatever, which I guess maybe is since the movie dropped, because I'm thinking the theatrical release kind of extended the timeline a little bit, but there's been a very quick. People are digging into it and finding visual parallels and a lot of the stuff that people really got, loved chewing on with his DC movies. But now it's not only with a brand new franchise, but it's also a franchise that like there's no source material to go look at and say, oh, they're going to take from Final Crisis here and this is what you need to know about Darkseid. Like, no, there's none of that. Yet there's that same kind of visual metaphor and stuff at play, which almost means that like the speculation is boundless as a result. Instead of like focusing on, well, here's how Batman did it in the comics. It's like, well, what is an alien zombie? What do you do with it? Anything, I guess. And that's really really cool, especially knowing that like this animated series is coming, and this is just the start of whatever this universe turns into.
God.
Now, piggybacking off of what Steven said, because I still have only seen it the one time, because I saw it in theaters last Saturday, and just with everything going on, I have not had the opportunity to watch it on Netflix. Probably will try to do that tonight after signing off of your guys' stream. But the ability to have something fresh, have something new, and also, let's just be frank here, to have a corporate partner like Netflix who is leaning into it and you're looking at them, looking at us going, oh, we have you now. And yet, and wanting to leverage that is really kind of fun. Like, I still need to go and watch that 30-minute making of special that they've put on Netflix that I want to delve into, because I love watching behind the scene making of features. Like that's a pet thing that I do. It's like why I love physical media so much, because I love watching the making of documentaries and that kind of thing. And then the art book that comes out in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to actually really delve into that and see what little tidbits and things are in there. And the Army of Thieves movie with Dieter, because Dieter's up there like in my top 3 of like all-time favorite characters from Army of the Dead. So to think, and my wife loved Dieter too, and I was like, yeah, you're getting a whole movie with just him. It's and that kind of stuff. But the Easter eggs that Zach has talked about, that Steven, you pointed out, didn't get a lot of play in the movie. It's there, it's subtle, it's impressions, it's wars and rumors of wars kind of thing going on in the movie, but it's all there so it can be played with later if they so desire. And like but I'm also here for like the subtle things or not so subtle things, like the whole safe being named after Wagner operas, and then the fact that when Dieter sees the frickin' safe, it starts playing music from that opera, and I'm losing my shit here because I'm like, I know that. Oh, and by the way, that's from Excalibur. They used it all in Excalibur. This is such a like Zack Snyder fan movement for me. It's just like losing my mind, getting excited about this movie and getting these fresh new characters. And Steven, to a point that you made, because it's an original work, being able to watch it and go, I don't have a flipping clue what's going to happen beyond some expectations I have just based on the genre itself. Like, if everyone but one or two people didn't die by the end of this movie, I would have been disappointed because I have an expectation from the genre that it's like, no, I need everyone to die by the end of this movie. Like, it should not be a happy ending, overall, because that's not how a zombie movie ends. And so the ending in some ways was expected, but even with the elements of the movie that I go, well, yeah, that's the way I thought the movie should have ended, it still left me with questions. And when Tim and I did our review for Squadcast Movies, I remember thinking, Martin was there to collect a sample for the U.S. military. And I'm still thinking about the fact that after Kate, pops Scott between the eyes, that military helicopter comes to pick her up. You've got an infected body right there. Yeah, he's dead, but can they salvage the material? Like, is that sequel material right there, beyond the fact that Van's in an airplane on his way to Mexico City and he's bit? Like, I'm seeing where story branches can go, but the movie, except for like the Van one, the movie didn't like spell it out for me. It was just there for me to go, and think about where could a sequel go from here.
Well, when like you talk about like franchise starters also, and you look at, everyone always looks at Iron Man, where I think that was, people think that a lot more and that was planned, whereas I think a lot of it was just kind of Easter eggs to Marvel stuff that later on they paid off, less so than like universe planning. Not to discredit it, Iron Man's a great movie, but I think that you end up with stuff like the Dark Universe, where they collapse early on under their own weight, because that first movie out the gate kind of has the burden of building a universe. And it's very clear that a universe exists here. We know they've talked about it, but if you watch this movie, you don't go in thinking like, you don't have like, oh, well, that's clearly, that's what the sequel's about. And like, it's even hard to, it's not hard to imagine the existence of a sequel, but this could be the only movie that ever exists. And people aren't going to say like, oh, it is clearly we missed out on, like, it stands alone, truly stands alone in a way that most franchise starters totally fail to. And that's just really exciting to see for once someone commit to a like, yes, there's Easter eggs, yes, there's opportunity to do more, but those will be illuminated more with future storytelling. It's not like this holds it up as, guess what you're gonna find out about this. Like, even I knew that the UFOs were in that opening scene before I ever saw the movie, and I've seen it three times, and I had it on like in the background one more time, and still have yet to see. Well, I've watched the opening sequence itself, 5 times total probably, and I haven't seen them. So like, that's the kind of like, it's all there, but it's worth the fine-tooth comb that people are going to give it until whatever comes next happens.
Zach?
Yeah, because people have been like talking about like the robot zombies, and I saw the blue glowing, but I also thought that was like the virus glowing stuff that like the baby zombie had, and like the stuff that flew out of Zeus's head. And so like I'm still wondering, like, okay, well, is that robot or is that the blue glow? Like I saw the blue glowing eyes and stuff, but I didn't think that was the robot stuff. I thought that was just the whatever this alien question mark virus is that starts the zombie apocalypse. Because once again, the movie doesn't hang a lantern on the stuff and explain it to you and say, exposition guy, this is how this is what this is. It just puts it there for you visually, and you're sitting here going, is that A or is that B? I don't know, because I know things. And once again, it's kind of like being a super fan. It would almost have been more fun to go into this movie knowing Jack and just kind of experience it, because then I wouldn't be trying to reconcile the movie with any kind of preconceived notions or preconceived expectations. I would just be watching a movie and going, WTF.
Yeah, and Zach,
and I feel like there's something that's lost. I think there's a certain amount, especially for those of us who like podcast or YouTube or like super fan it up. I think so much gets lost from the we rob ourselves of just having the WTF moments, and sometimes those are the most fun to have in a movie when you have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, it was totally like that. And for your point, I was saying that Zach, well, he didn't say this exactly, but he, upon talking about the zombie penis, he said that, well, we didn't want to have everything in the first movie, and kind of wanted the average audience to enjoy and not think about everything too deeply and all that, right? So, based on that, I think Zach did that on purpose. He didn't want to overstuff this with universe building materials like that, and UFOs, aliens, and there's this history with this character and all that into the first movie, right? So now that the people are into this world, he can explore that further, making prequels and in the sequel. I'll have to say that I'm more excited about the animated prequel than the sequel because that's basically that has to do with the origin of the zombie virus and the alien stuff, right? That's more interesting to me, even though it's animated and not live action. I wish it was, but that answers a lot of questions, so that's very interesting to me. Sean?
Oh,
You're
you're
muted.
muted.
Unmute yourself.
Okay, now you can. So I love zombies. Okay,
Found the mute button.
I mean, am I not? Yeah, I love zombies. Okay, so I was so excited to see Zach go back into this world because, of course, I'm sad that Justice League 2 and 3 isn't guaranteed. We don't know if it's ever going to happen, but if I was to pick one genre for him to jump back into, it would be zombies. I love The Walking Dead. I love World War Z, Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead, George Romero's zombie movies. Love them so much. And this movie felt like a blend of all of those put together through the eyes of Zack Snyder, with his own spin, with his own kind of uniqueness brought into it, his visionary style, but also his idea of maybe aliens, which George Romero also touched on as well, touched on aliens, radiation, and maybe them evolving. But Zach is doing this now through his eyes, which is awesome. And I agree with Stephen where this could be a standalone movie and we get nothing more from it. And I think it would work like that if it was just a one-off. But I'm so happy that we're getting more.
Totally.
Get more. The world building is ridiculous with this movie. And even though most of these characters don't survive, and we don't know if the characters that did survive will make it in a sequel. I don't know if they will, but it added something to it. Even though we're attached to these characters, even though mostly every one of them died, we're still in for this world because we want to see how this evolves. Why is there aliens, or what is that exactly? Why is there? Why is the baby blue? Why is there some of them with glowing eyes? Why is there one of them looks like a robot? Stuff like that. Why is the shambler? How were the shamblers created? If Zeus fights as somebody and they turn into an alpha, then how come shamblers became something even more? I love that shot where the little girl, it's in the opening credits, the little girl is bending down as if to get a teddy bear or something on the ground, and the camera sits there and the zombies are just walking, the old style kind of George Romero zombies. I love that shot so much, kind of a throwback. And to see Zach also. Zach has talked very positively about The Walking Dead, which has been around for the last 11 years. My favorite show personally. And to see him kind of use their ideas, but bring them in a different way. Like Garrett Dillahunt is in Fear the Walking Dead, which is a spin-off of the main show. For him to be brought in, and he also brought in Lauren Cohen into Batman v Superman, to be married to Jeffrey Morgan, stuff like that. I think it's just pretty cool. And he shows a bit of respect to the genre of zombies, but also doing his own thing. And I think Dave Bautista gave a very emotional performance in this, and he's really crafting himself as an actor. He's not just a movie star right now, you know. I think he's developing big time. But I'm more excited to see where Zach brings this world right now, because it's a guarantee, and the Snyderverse isn't a guarantee. So I'm excited, because I know Army of the Dead 2 will probably happen. There's a prequel happening. There's an animated movie happening or show. So yeah, I'm all for it, and I love this movie so much. And I like how we can nitpick, and we can pick apart. Maybe this part doesn't make sense, or that character we could tell was going to be the villain, Garrett Dillahunt's character, and stuff like that. But it was just so much of a thrill ride, and then you can tear eyes with your friends, and that's the best part about it. I think it's just here talking with you guys about it, and on Twitter and Instagram. It's good. I think it's a great experience to have with your friends.
Yeah, totally. And on my first viewing, I didn't catch all the theories when I was watching it. I did catch the references to his old movies though. Like I felt so many scenes and shots were similar to either BVS or Zack Snyder's Justice League, or Watchmen or Sucker Punch, and that was amazing to watch. And it's so cool to know that one person directed this, wrote this, and he shot this, and he's adding in stuff from his previous movies. That's like the artist, right? Like what can
Well, he's like self-referential at this point. Like he's like, you've got the Michael Cassidy getting killed in the desert in the first 15 minutes, which I mentioned to him last night on Dave's Film Junkie stream, and he like was aware, it was not something that had escaped him. You got Alison Crowe and Richard Cheese in the opening song. That elevator song gag is in Dawn of the Dead. Like you've got all these things that are Zeus has a red cape and he wears a black mask that goes down, to his nose.
And Pig even has that great line: "Was that a zombie with a goddamn cape?"
Yeah.
It's a line about, you've got Richard Citrone, who has been a stuntman in his movie since 300 as the head zombie.
He kills it in that role.
Well, and also I think it was really funny because I think even Man of Steel Answers had a great tweet today. It was like, so who's going to be the guy who comes up with the Zack Snyder bingo card that we're going to have for this movie? Because he just listed out all these things, like Samantha Wynn being a major character when she's been either a on-screen performer or a stunt double for so many movies. It's like this movie is as the Larry Fong Easter egg that we all like just cackled over. It's these things that as a Zack Snyder fan, you can watch this movie and go, dude, this was for me. And you can have that moment of, like, my wife is sitting there, she doesn't have a freaking clue, and I'm sitting there going, and then later she's like, okay, explain, okay, tell me what you want to tell me. I'm like, yes, honey. But there's someone like my wife who just loves zombie movies can watch it and just completely enjoy herself, so much so that when we came back home, she immediately said, "Do you have Dawn of the Dead? I've never seen it." And I popped in Dawn of the Dead for her to watch because that inspired her to go see his other zombie movie. That's the effect this movie can have.
Yeah. That movie is good.
Yeah, it is.
It's the first Snyder movie I ever saw, and I hadn't forgotten how good it was, I guess, but it's not always part of the conversation because of this. But Dice and I watched it because we recorded a commentary track, and then like the next day I watched it again with Snyder's commentary on it, and then watched all the, speaking of special features, watched all the special features on the Blu-ray and everything. Like it's a very solid, tight movie.
Do you have the Screen Factory Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
I meant to tell Zach this story, and I got to talk to him, but I was so nervous and happy to see him actually on a stream. But the first DVD I ever bought with my own money in 2010 was Dawn of the Dead on DVD. Like, I have it right here. And I love this movie so much. This is before I knew about producers.
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't know anything about producers, about like directors, or anything like that. I just watched movies and I fell in love with it. And that's the moment I fell in love with zombies. A few months later, Walking Dead came on television. I got to see Zombieland as well. And ever since then, I've been just obsessed with zombies. I love zombies so much. Because for someone who has their own money at that age to go and actually be able to buy something, and this is the first thing that you really kind of buy, the first kind of movie you buy, and to pop it on at home and be just crazy about it, especially the zombie baby and stuff like that. I just found it very fascinating. But to see Zach come full circle now and make another Army of the Dead, the On the Dead type movie, was just amazing. And I had so much fun with this movie. I've watched it 3 times already. I love breaking it down. It's just, I think it's a great kind of ride of a movie where you just sit back, and great music, great song choice, great score. The opening sequence, I was very emotional, where Alison Krauss singing over the girl running over to her mother, and the zombie song at the end where Omari Hardwick's character rises from the ashes of the safe. It's just badass, and the zombie song plays there from the Cranberries, who are an Irish band. I thought it was pretty cool. I know there's a lot of political bullshit around that song on Twitter and stuff I'm not going to talk about here. As an Irishman, I thought it was a very fitting song for the scene, and I love that. That's my favorite scene in the movie, actually. And I'm looking forward to see where it goes next. And I think Zach confirmed was it last night that one of the streams, Omari Hardwick will be the next kind of Zeus as well, which is crazy. I might be even more involved, maybe Zeus. I don't know.
Yeah, he said that he would be much more scarier Zeus. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
But to be fair, Zeus wasn't as scary. He wasn't as aggressive as the other alphas or the other shamblers. He was kind of very composed and calm. Oh my god, I loved Zeus, man. I'm like, Richard Citron, the way he performed that character is just so amazing. Even the way he was just standing in one place and looking, it just was amazing. It gave me the Batman vibe from BBS, and it was such a cool Easter egg to put that mask over him, and then he also had a cape. So that was really cool. But I totally loved Zeus, and he played it really well. I love that character.
I was amazed. I think what made him scary in his own way is that you could tell that he was thinking.
Yes.
And that scares the crap out of you in a zombie movie, because it's like, what? They can think, you know? Yeah. And so like when he puts the mask on,
yeah, exactly.
Because he puts the mask on, and I was slow because I love it because I was just too busy being in the movie that I didn't pick up on it. But then when he's even before Van fires off the first shot, but when I see him walking down the hall, then like I love it when something clicks for me like 5 seconds before the movie tells you. And so when I saw the mask down, I went, headshots. Oh my god. Okay, that and then the first shot happens and the bullet bounces off. I'm just like, that's brilliant.
That feels like something like if you've ever played like Left 4 Dead or something. That feels like you started a new, like when they introduce a new zombie or whatever, where you're like at the end of a stage and a zombie comes out and you shoot and you hear the ping. Like I don't think that's a type of zombie they have in it, but it's the type of thing they would do where you're like, oh wait, what's going on here? Zombies that are impervious to headshots. What do I do? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, it's crazy that I've never thought of that, before seeing that scene. I was like, yeah, it's so simple, and I've never thought of that before. Just put something that covers your head, and what are you going to do? And they're even running at you.
And even
they're fast.
And more powerful. The zombie virus made them more powerful.
We talk about fast zombies as like, oh my god, they're scary. But one of the glow stick scene, the zombies are just asleep. That's scary. Yes. Because at any moment,
my wife lost her shit in that scene.
Yeah, brilliant. brilliant, because at any moment the zombie could just wake up and you're fucked. And it's just, I love that scene so much. Actually, a few episodes ago, Fear the Walking Dead did something kind of similar, but it was only for a quick moment. And I was annoyed at the episode because I was like, oh, you could have made a whole episode just out of that, or a whole sequence. But I'm glad that Zach had an idea similar and made it into a John Wick type silent kind of movie sequence. It was really cool. I thought it was awesome.
Well, that was, I mean, and that's the scene that really makes you fall in love with Chambers. Like,
Yes.
My wife was watching Samantha Wynn like go down with the ship, and she's just like, no, like it was a great. Once again, the thing this movie does is in very quick order. It makes you root for all of these characters except Martin. Screw him. And Cummings. You know, that's the one where you just go, shoot him in the balls, just do it. And it's amazing how quickly you are so invested in these characters that even though if you know the zombie genre, you know they've all got to die, it still gutted you every time you lost one of them. And that's just a good movie when you go, I cared what happened to these characters, and even though I know they're probably all going to die, it still was like, when Maria gets it, that shocked me. It's like, I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but when Maria died, I was just like, no.
I was most upset at Zeus getting killed, actually, because I loved him so much.
No.
Well, did you see on the vodka stream last night when Zach said they talked about when Maria gets killed, they thought about having her reach
hilarious.
out for Dave, but because her head is wrong, her arms reach the wrong way. And he was like, you know what? Maybe he's like, that's probably pushing it too far. It's like, it's dark enough.
It's comedy though. It
Especially
would have been funny.
The clavicle like breaks the surface. Like if someone twisted your neck full, like yes, the bone would pop right out. Ooh.
Yeah. The splatter from the blood as well.
There were a lot of funny moments in the movie. Like similar to that, like
the theater was pretty funny.
Yeah, apart from that part, I mean the natural humor that comes from stuff, you know, that just happens, right? Like Zach said, the arm thing, I think that would have been hilarious in that scene. And then there's one more scene where the first time we see the queen zombie, right? And they both take Cummings, and then she just runs, right? And
oh yeah.
That was also a funny thing.
Well, it's like because she was like a dancer or something.
Yeah,
and it was very much like leaving the stage.
Yeah.
It was great. Posed like a ballet dancer.
Yes,
very much so. Yes.
So stuff like that was really, you know, even the Valentine scene where Zach said yesterday, right? We just wanted him to kind of be like a cat, you know, sit in one place, and we should just feel good about him or something. Even that was funny to me. Like every other zombie was just running, and he's just there sitting and watching. It was cool.
You know what was funny when Scott, the police character, calls Tig's character Peter's like, is it ready and stuff?
Yes.
And the chopper and Tig's like, hey, I'm just up here getting a tan, and I'm just chilling and stuff. That was pretty funny. Her line delivery throughout the entire movie, even just little throwaway lines, I thought was pretty good. It added a good bit. And she was in a lot of movies than I thought she would be in. I thought maybe the pilot, all right, seeing at the start, the end of the sequence and stuff like that. But I think she did a pretty good job for somebody who didn't have anyone to act for.
Yeah, I love Tig, and she just has this monotone voice and delivery to her jokes. But their jokes are really funny. So I really loved whatever she said. I
hate my life. Whatever it is, I'm in. You don't want to know? It has something to do with a helicopter, right? Probably. I'm in. Thank you.
You know what's more, you know what's even funnier with that line? Her life actually is shit, because she had a whole lineup of bad events happen to her in a span of a very small time frame, and she even found that funny. She also had cancer, and then she beat cancer, and her mom died just before that, and then she went to she kind of wanted to get pregnant and all that, and then she lost a baby, and all of that stuff happened in a span of a few months or a couple of years or something. That was all in the documentary, Tig's documentary. But that line hit me so hard after that, because she actually does, like, her life is so tragic, and then she says, I hate my life, and I was like, yes, I would too.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite kill of the movie? Either human or zombie.
I think
I can tell my wife was Martin getting eaten because she called him Tiger Meat. That's why she kept on referring to Martin after that. Was his nickname was Tiger Meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know maybe it doesn't count. It's a little bit different, but I loved the vault zombie.
I was
that they
just
had
going to
trigger all
say
the.
that was my favorite too,
Yeah.
especially because it creates a Rorschach at the end.
Well, I was gonna say, someone asked in the comments on the vodka stream last night. They were like, "Zach, is there any sort of a pattern?" I was trying to see a pattern in the in like the goo when the doors separated. It looked kind of familiar, and Zach said, "Maybe it's pretty clouds."
Yeah. I don't know why he said just pretty clouds. Maybe it's just just him making a joke, but
Well, no, it's a Rorschach.
Yeah, but the pretty clouds thing, I think it was coincidence maybe, but the title sequence of the movie, where it says directed by Zack Snyder, it's actually framed, in front of pretty clouds. So it's even funnier when he says that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rorschach. That's what I thought too, and that's my favorite kill. It's like that scene was also funny because their reactions and the music playing was like a comedic.
Well, and that whole sequence of Vanderho just being like, "I got this," and he like struts off, and he stands in the elevator with his arms crossed, and
Mr.
then
T.
like, yeah, it was just perfect.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorites was Lily with Athena's head, because first she's backing off, going, "Don't do it! I'll blow her head off even more." and then she's impaled. She's impaled with the rebar against the wall, and I just love how she just leans over, takes the head, and just drops it. And not only does she drop the head, we follow the head down to watch it splat on the pavement, and there's just something that I just went, okay, that's awesome.
And the Vanderho is an interesting character because at the start, you look really closely, you can see that he got a major in philosophy, and a lot of his lines are very like that. And I've never studied it or anything like that, but I've looked at. He kind of reminded me of Rust Cole from True Detective, the way his outlook on life, these kind of these lines, stuff like that. Like, what do you think of him as a character, and even this theory of a time loop that many people are thinking is a definite theory right now?
I think that the time loop is when Vanderho says it, I think he's I don't know, people are like so far down the rabbit hole on this, but I think that he's screwing with Dieter. The way that he presents it is very much like egging Dieter on, because Dieter is like the fish out of water. Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's punctuated with the explosion and everything. It's very much hazing Dieter. But then also it is metaphorical, and it's metaphorical for what happens in the movie. I mean, there is and it's a zombie movie. There's a cycle of greed and death that they are a part of. They have killed zombies already, and then they left, and then they're back killing zombies again. There were groups that were sent to the vault to get the money, and they died, and they're the newest group. And then he descends into the abyss with the Joseph Campbell reference, and then he emerges as something new. And then when at the last moment when you least expect it, it all starts again. Boom. Like that is Vanderho's arc.
And it's also, and to your point, Stephen, it's the monomyth, because the monomyth, going back to Joseph Campbell, is a circle that you start at home, you descend, you come back home, and technically it's a cycle that just repeats itself over and over again. Campbell would say it repeats itself over and over again throughout every religion and mythology in the world because it's the monomyth. But then also as stories go on, once you do the cycle, your next story is just a variation of that cycle that continues. And so it just becomes, it is the circle, it is the loop. Any diagram you see of Campbell's monomyth is it's that snake eating its tail thing.
Exactly.
And even Russ Cole says the exact same thing. Time is a flat circle then True Detective. So this reminded me so much of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't really believe it, but it's just kind of how he's thinking of his life experiences.
And so I don't think there's like nothing there. I think it is interesting, and like the similarity of the bodies that are in the vault is interesting, but I think it's all intended to be way more metaphorical and philosophical, and has more meaning to me personally. Also, I think it has a stronger impact as a philosophical, metaphorical time loop than it does as a literal like time travel mechanism. I think that kind of actually takes away from the story once you turn it into like some sort of literal time travel happening.
And also, I feel like it also is a great meta commentary on genre and sci-fi, if it's not an actual time loop, but just this awesome opportunity for the character to almost speak to the audience like a omniscient narrator commenting metatextually on the situation that they're in, and the audience just gets to kind of wink and be part of like the elbow nudging of, oh yeah, we know what's going on here. That's how I took it when I first saw the movie, and that's what made me appreciate it as a meta commentary on a genre film.
Yeah, I agree, and I loved all those aspects as well, and especially because obviously this is a Zack Snyder movie, and we go looking for that stuff, right? And of course we got it, so I'm really happy with that. And I do think that Zack intentionally didn't add a lot of the alien stuff in this, just like I said previously, because of that reason, I think. But I do think that he has here enough stuff that we could theorize over, and I do think the time loop is still a possibility.
And I think that the interesting thing that he said also was that he said that we'll find out Zeus's story in the animated series, and that he went on some sort of a quest, and that is how this happened to him. So he was seeking something somehow, somewhere, and that resulted in like a Venom, discovering the Venom symbiote, or like drinking from the Holy Grail or something, and this is the consequence of that happening. But also he said that something during the zombie war happened to Vanderhoof that made him philosophical. And the fact that he said that that's part of what made him the way he is and like so philosophical, stuck out to me, because I think that maybe if you're going to introduce some sort of a prophecy, time loop, fourth wall awareness aspect to it, or like I think people have used the like Edge of Tomorrow comparison. Mm-hmm. I think if you want to give that to someone like Vanderhoof, like if he had some sort of alien interaction that gives him a level of clairvoyance, that works and that's cool. But I don't think catching everybody up in a literal time loop is as interesting. But if we find out more about Vanderhoof, so that we look back on this movie and it makes him giving that speech to Dieter even more ironic, because he's literally living in some kind of time loop himself, or has some awareness, some larger awareness as a result of whatever happened to him. I think that's cool. I think that's the route that I'd be most interested in it taking along those lines, when it comes to like time.
And that would be Campbellian too, because that would be his descent into the underworld metaphorically, and the ultimate boon, the elixir, the apotheosis. I mean, that would be apotheosis in the Campbell model. That would, if he gained some sort of ability or awareness like that, that would then mean that Vanderho is the Campbellian hero of this story. He's the one on the journey.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about it that way. But people were saying, why didn't Vanderho kill himself at the end when he found out that he was bitten? I don't think he looks at zombies as monsters or as the destruction of humanity. I think maybe from a philosophical standpoint, he's probably thinking that it's an evolution of humanity, that these zombies can reproduce. Maybe he doesn't know that, but they can live in a community. They can live like that. They don't necessarily need food as much and things like that. They can actually live within a community and actually get on. It seems like all the zombies. You think that he looks at it as an evolution? Maybe that's why he doesn't kill himself, or do you think it just overtakes him before he can kill himself, or what do you think his reasoning?
Well, we don't know what happens. I don't think we know what happens just yet as a result of that. But I thought another thing Zach pointed out that was really kind of fascinating is that most other characters, there's something else going on that with their injury, they're in a crash, or they get shot, or their bite is more severe and they're bleeding out, and that maybe they would have died even if they didn't become a zombie. And so whatever it is that's happening, Vanderho is not dying and becoming a zombie. He's just becoming a zombie while he's alive because his wound is so minor and he didn't have any other injuries to speak of. And he's a big, healthy, strong dude. And something else maybe happened to him. And he was irradiated, at least lightly, right? Yeah. And so there's something about his scenario that, like, my kind of favorite theory, I keep on calling him like the Daywalker zombie. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's a very cool setup for like a Blade style. Give him all of Zeus's powers, but let him keep at least most of his mind, or have him struggle with the duality. Another Campbellian thing, right? Mm-hmm. About give him the struggle of like the taste for the flesh or whatever, the craving, and then I don't know, you could go a lot of different ways, but like I'd love to like do that to him. He's got the money, have him build a team of alphas in Mexico City. Don't have a full-on outbreak, like have him build this team, and then he tracks down what happened. What was the government doing? What was Bly doing? Let's have him go infiltrate Area 51 as like a spy super zombie, right? Like that's way cooler to me than like another full-blown zombie apocalypse take. And
you're kind of yeah. You're kind of saying that, like, as humans, we have evolved over time. Why can't zombies evolve? Is that what you're kind of saying as well? Yeah, that's pretty
a little bit. But also, the way that he's getting his powers are like, it took so much longer for him to change that I think it's reasonable story wise to say like, well, no, he's not a mindless. You know, like Zeus had a mind, but also he was violent and maybe lost a lot of his mind. So, like, but why can't we say that like Vanderho is the next step, and he maintains more of his consciousness, and he has more of a morality about him, and he keeps that philosophical world awareness about him that can make him a really much more interesting and possibly more dangerous character if you give him the power but don't give him the weakness.
It's interesting because we don't know what happened to Zeus before the vault got opened on the road when the crash happened. Like, we don't know what way he was experimented on. We don't know how he got the virus. That probably could have altered how he acted then as Zeus when he got out and started overtaking Las Vegas. That's a good point. So Vanderho has a different perspective as well, and more aware. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and Steven, I think you have to go, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right, then we can wrap things up here with you. Scott, you can stay.
I probably need to head out myself, but I can kind of wrap things up here.
All right, that's good for us then, because I don't have to change the layout again.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely talk more about Army of the Dead next week, I think, or midweek. We'll plan another show where it will be Army spoiler discussion specifically, and we'll get into much more with that after multiple viewings myself again, because I still have only seen it twice and I want to see it more times.
Those are rookie numbers. We have to get them up, Casey.
Yeah, man. I mean, Zach needs the sequel and we need the sequel, so. And it was number 1 worldwide in every Netflix, every country. And that was amazing. So yeah, let's wrap it up here then.
Thanks, guys,
Yeah.
for coming by. Appreciate it. Our first ever guests on Real Talk Live. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
first ever guest, and that's amazing that everything went smoothly. But yeah,
Fair enough. Yeah, but everyone, I want to thanks everyone for watching as well. Just give a thumbs up and subscribe if you like the channel, new channel, new kind of layout for Real Talk Live that we're excited about. And you can also follow the social medias, Real Talk Live, where we will all the latest breaking news we'll post it on Instagram and on Twitter, and you can find out when we're going live and stuff like that.
Steven, where can we find you?
Appreciate it, guys, for watching.
Oh,
Where can we
sorry,
find
what
you,
was that?
Steve?
Where can we find you?
Where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at smcolbert, or most social. You can find me there, and you can find my writing at screenrant.com, and you can find me and Andrew Dice talking all about Zack Snyder things at snyderminute.com, where we've got BVS by the minute, Justice League by the minute, and Army of the Dead by the minute is on the way. With also have a Patreon, and we just recorded a Dawn of the Dead commentary for that. So check all that stuff out.
Awesome. Scott, bring
Of
us
course,
home.
you can find me on Twitter. Oh, you can't say my catchphrase. Come on. But of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27. You can find my podcast, the DC Film Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're also on Vero, Facebook, YouTube. You can find the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
And first time ever for Real Talk Live, so that's great. All right, everyone. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.